What up, junkies? Good morning and happy Wednesday. Dan Kasper Show's on the air on your radio dials, 105.1 FM, 790 AM. Also available online, sportstalk1051.com. Got your Google and Alexa home devices, the Sports Talk app, and YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, video feed. Bunch of different ways for you to be joining in. Appreciate you tuning in wherever and however you may be tuning in on this Making the Turn Wednesday. What do we got on the game plan here this morning? Well, the typical stuff we do on a Wednesday. We'll do some stock reports, whose stock is rising, whose stock is falling, in your opinion. Play along with us by giving us your very own stock reports. We'll do a little Good Vibes Only Wednesday. Good Vibes Only Wednesday story a little bit later on. And another edition of Showdown, our bracket challenge that we do every Wednesday morning to decide what year was the best year of all time between 1963 and 2010, because we got to have it somewhere in there. So, but 2 years doing battle today, 89 versus 2007. So the three categories: sports, movies, music, as you all know. So who moves on? Who will be moving on in the latest matchup for Showdown? Also on the game plan here for this morning, in case you didn't hear yesterday, the Packers officially moving on from Amari Rodgers. Packers releasing the wide receiver, former third-round pick. He's not the only one that the Packers cut ties with, though. Packers also moving on from Kylan Hill, their running back that was just a couple weeks ago came off the injured list. Remember last year with that ACL injury, kind of thought, okay, would he be a third he is a third round or third running back, but last year we saw some kick return ability from him. Thought maybe that would be a possibility here. So it was a little surprising, but listening to Matt LaFleur yesterday, sounds like it had more to deal with off the field sort of issues with Mr. Hill. One of the quotes from Matt LaFleur yesterday during his presser about it, just to kind of sum it up, was that there are standards on this team, and we expect them to live up to them. He said it was less about football and then more than about being supportive as a backup. When you don't own your role, this is what happens. So kind of some strong words yesterday from Matt LaFleur talking about Hill. Regardless of your role, no matter how big or how small, we expect guys to come to work and just be supportive and own that role to the best of your ability. So something was going on with Hill, and the Packers deciding to move on. Rodgers, on the other hand, Matt LaFleur saying that one hurts a lot. He did everything we asked him to do. He was a great teammate. He worked his tail off. You can see him really growing just in terms of overall knowledge, but we are in a production-based business. So, Packers bringing back Patrick Taylor off the practice squad, signing him to the active roster to be the third running back, and also signing D.D. Westbrook to the practice squad, although it probably won't be too surprising maybe to see him active for the game on Thursday, potentially. It might be a little close, but D.D. Westbrook also has plenty of experience returning kicks, returning some punts. Spent a little time with Minnesota last year, so maybe we'll see him out there. The Packers also opening that 21-day window for Randall Cobb to be put back on the active roster. Now, whether he will play Thursday, whether that will be whether it's too quick of a turnaround for him, remains to be seen. So, but we'll chat a little green and gold coming up here. And I was kind of doing some looking back at the history of third-round picks, or at least the recent history of third-round picks for the Packers. And it ain't good. You have to probably go back to 2010 when the last time the Packers hit on a third-round pick, Amari Rodgers being a third-round pick. That's the most recent one. And then, honestly, probably second on that list, Richard Rodgers, which, no offense to Richard Rodgers, and he's got, a great play in Packers history with the Hail Mary, but that's not very good. That ain't good at all for third-round picks. And, I'm a firm believer. Like, when it comes to draft, you all know me. I love the draft. I love the NFL draft. And my favorite part of the draft is day 2, round 2, round 3. And Green Bay has not been good with their third-round picks as of late. Ooh, yikes. And I was just kind of going back at some of the third-rounders in history. And 1995, side note, Ron Wolf dominated that draft. Dominated might be too strong a word, but he hit on that draft, that 95 draft. Packers won the Super Bowl the next year. We know Super Bowl 31. But Ron Wolf got 5 starters from that 95 draft for that 96 Super Bowl team. And 3 of those starters came in the third round. But that's, you think about that. You think about that Super Bowl 31 team for Green Bay. 5 starters. 5 starters came from the 95 draft. You had Antonio Freeman in there. You had John Michaels in there. You had the linebacker Brian Williams, who was told this story before, but was one of my very first favorite Packers because he was my very first Packers autograph. Made the interception in Super Bowl 31. Did William Henderson in that draft. Craig Newsome was in that draft. Adam Timmerman. Did I say John Michael? I don't think John Michaels was different year. But your starters were Craig Newsome, William Henderson, Brian Williams, Antonio Freeman. You had Adam Timmerman as a 7th rounder, and Travis Jervey was a 5th rounder, special teams ace. I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Your 5 starters being Newsome, Henderson, Williams, Freeman, and Timmerman, and then Jervey being a key special teams player. I mean, yeah. I would say Ron Wolf hit on that draft for a Super Bowl 31 team and getting 5 starters out of there. 3 of them being those third rounders, like I said. The third rounders, by the way, were William Henderson, Brian Williams, and Antonio Freeman. Craig Newsome was the first round pick that year. So we'll kind of deep dive into that and chat a little green and gold coming up here in just a little bit on the opening drive here this morning, as tomorrow's game day already. Getting ready for the Titans. If the Packers were to win tomorrow night, does it change your outlook for the season, or are you of the mindset, let's get past the Philadelphia game first? If they beat Tennessee and they beat Philadelphia, which I know, tough tasks, but if they win their next 2, they're back to 500. Does that change your mindset, or are you of the mindset if they beat Tennessee, that really kind of changes your outlook? Maybe that gives you the little bit more confidence out there. So Tennessee's got a good run defense. They're physical. Look at it's Mike Vrabel, right? It's a Mike Vrabel head coach or coach team. So we'll hit that up coming up here in just a little bit. Bucks are back in action tonight as well, taking on the Cleveland Cavaliers. We'll see how healthy the Bucks are going to be for this game because they're a little bit banged up. But it sounds like, Giannis should be good to go. Sounds like Pat Connaughton's getting closer to potentially returning. But big game going up against Cleveland tonight. We'll take a look at that and kind of break it down here a little bit as well. Bucks 10-3, Cleveland 8-5. Cleveland and Bucks were off to fantastic starts the first couple weeks of the season. Cleveland kind of struggling as of late. We know the Bucks losing their last 2 here. So, but we'll take a look at that game. Speaking of hoops, Badger men's basketball team going up against Green Bay last night. They got the win, but they struggled a little bit. It was just 56-45 against the winless Green Bay Phoenix. Badgers jumped out to a 32-15 point lead after the first half. Phoenix outscoring them in the second half, though, 30-24. So Badgers kind of escape with the victory. But yeah, you look at Tyler Wall, just 8 points, 9 rebounds. Stephen Crowell, 9 points, 9 rebounds. Jordan Davis putting up 11 points. The only Badger hoopster to be in double-digit scoring last night for the Badgers. Badgers just shot 30% from the field, 16 of 53. Think about that, 16 of 53. Yeah. They shot better percentage-wise from the 3%. And I know three-pointers count towards overall field goal percentage, but their three-pointers were 42.1. They were 8 of 19 from 3. 8 of 19 from 3, 42.1. But their overall field goal percentage, 30.2. Yikes. Green Bay just shot 14.3% from 3, for crying out loud. And Green Bay was 56.5% from the charity stripe. 14 turnovers for the Badgers. But they did out-rebound Green Bay 45-25. 15 of those coming from the offensive side. So up next for the Badgers is going to be Dayton. They are ranked 21, the Dayton Flyers, but Dayton just fell to UNLV. That's some good college basketball games. Michigan State taking down fourth-ranked Kentucky, double OT. You had Kansas beating Duke. So some good hoops games last night all across the board. But big win for Michigan State. Got to imagine they're probably going to jump up into the rankings now after beating Kentucky last night. So we'll talk some hoops a little bit later on as well. Brewers, maybe some potential interesting moves we might hit on here too, because the Brewers had to do their 40-man deadline. And a couple of, maybe one really interesting move was John Singleton. He's a veteran slugger, but was out of baseball for a little bit, suspended and that. But that was the one surprise from yesterday for the Brewers adding a player to their 40-man roster. But all players added to the 40-man roster will remain in the organization with a chance to break into the big leagues. Bryce Terang was also added to the 40-man roster. So by doing this, the Brewers shielded those players from other clubs in next month's Rule 5 draft too, like Cam Robinson, who was their 27th ranked prospect, Uribe, their 26th ranked prospect. But Singleton, he's a veteran. He was with the Astros in 14 and 15 when he was one of baseball's top overall prospects, but had some issues off the field. And he's 31 years old right now too. So we'll see. But we'll go through some comments from Matt Arnold about the decision to keep Singleton. He's a first baseman. We kind of talked about splitting some time with Rowdy Tellez potentially over there at first base. Also talked about with the DH aspect of it, but we'll see. That was probably that was the biggest surprise yesterday from the Brewers, filling out their 40-man roster. So we'll hit up that too. We'll throw in a little baseball talk. Nothing really too big out there yet with any free agency news. So, but let's get things rolling here this morning. Opening drive. We'll start it up here. Let's chat a little football to begin. To the pleasure of probably many Packers fans out there, Amari Rodgers was released yesterday by the Green and Gold. I could ask for your thoughts, but I think I know the majority of your thoughts on that move. So Well, with along with the Hill move, a little bit of surprising, but now that we know is probably off the field sort of stuff or some drama in the locker room, so the Packers deciding to move on from there. But a couple things I want to hit up on, not only just with that, but taking a look back at some of the, especially like the third round picks for Green Bay, just struggling as of late. Also, we got the game tomorrow night already. But if Green Bay wins that game against Tennessee, does that change your outlook of the season? Yes, that does factor in the rest of the NFC being maybe average at best, outside of Minnesota and Philly, obviously being the top two in the NFC. But you look at the rest, it's like, yeah, is there really a big threat? If Green Bay gets a win against Tennessee, then move to 5-6. And yes, they got a tough match against Philadelphia afterwards. But if they beat Tennessee, does that change your mindset? Or are you kind of waiting to see if they can beat Tennessee and Philadelphia to get to 500? What do you think that record, I guess, has to be for you to think that they've got a shot to make the postseason? They're at 6 losses now. How many more losses do you think they can afford to have? One more? So they could go 10-7? Maybe two more? Or 9-8? When you look at the rest of the NFC, what do you think? Start hitting me up with some texts on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line, 715-830-1912, or hit me up on Twitter at DANKASPER, Facebook.com/Kasper Sports. We'll take our first break and then opening drive coming up next. As we're making a turn on this week, itching closer to the opener on Saturday, too. Holy moly, it's going to be cold. All right, we'll be back after these words. Best holiday ever. That's what we want to make it for some lucky listeners out there. Just head to our website, sportstalk1051.com, and you can click on the link, click on the banner there, or around the 715.com to check out all the details over there for the best holiday ever. We're giving away some gift cards. We're doing a bunch of different stuff to try to make this the best holiday ever. Contests, events, music, and more. So check it all out there. And then you can enter to win, maybe a hogs for the holidays. Win a half a hog and a chest freezer. Oh, that's pretty sweet, right? Local gift cards. Win a Christmas tree for crying out loud. You can win some Country Jam Rockfest tickets. Taylor Swift is on there too. So again, you can visit our website at sportstalk1051.com to click on that link there, or just go to aroundthe715.com. Big thanks to Shook Family Dental, EC Moving and Storage, TF Exteriors, Savita, and our good friends over at Hy-Vee. Plus, with Backyard Dreams too, we want to help make some holidays special as well. So if you know of a kiddo or maybe a family that needs a little help, or maybe needs our help to put a good word in for Santa, let us know. Okay, we want to help. We'll put in a good word for Santa. I know the guy. Okay, I'll shoot him a text. So let us know. Just shoot me a message over there. Okay, can be anonymous, anything like that. Let's get things rolling here this morning on the opening drive to kick things off on this Making the Turn Wednesday. So, to the delight of many Packers fans yesterday, Amari Rodgers out. He's no longer with the team. Kylan Hill also out, no longer with the team. Patrick Taylor signed back to the active roster. I was hoping this would be an opportunity for Mr. Tyler Goodson. He hasn't gotten any regular season snaps yet after having, I thought, a pretty darn good preseason. Hasn't gotten up there. But main reason is probably limited special teams experience. So, got to play special teams, right? Especially if you're going to be a third down back. Patrick Taylor has more of that. Mr. Goodson doesn't. So, but the Packers also bringing in D.D. Westbrook to the practice squad. A lot of experience returning punts and kicks. So, maybe that will be the role for him. And maybe we will see it right away tomorrow night. But you look at, another release, another third-round pick that the Packers moving on from before the end of their rookie contracts. Amari Rodgers was just a pick last year, for crying out loud. You look at some of the third-round picks as of late, and Green Bay hasn't really done a good job. When you kind of look back at it, the last one they may have hit on was Morgan Burnett in 2010. Remember his rookie year too? He ended up tearing his ACL, so he didn't even play in the Super Bowl that year. That was the Nick Collins and Charlie Pepra, mostly for the whole season. So, and then second might be like Richard Rodgers. I know Ty Montgomery was a third-round pick, but in terms of what he did with Green Bay, not that much. He's still active. He's still playing. So give the guy credit. He's still around the league right now. But man, it hasn't been good. That's I will say this about Goody. I think he has at least shown that if a player's not working out, a player that he drafted isn't working out, he will cut ties with them. Whereas I think you can make the case, you can make the argument, maybe there was times where Ted Thompson kind of kept him a little bit longer because those were his picks. Whereas, we could say Goody missed on him. However, we can also say that, he wasn't afraid to kind of let them go. Amari Rodgers, Jay Sternberger. You could go to Jamon Moore. Didn't even make it out of preseason. Kingsley Keke. Yeah, those are obviously players you'd rather hit on and keep them and all that sort of stuff. But I guess at one point, J.K. Scott being another one, if you wanted to throw that one in there, at least they moved on and didn't really hold on to him longer than what I guess they needed to be. But I mean, these are if we want to kind of focus on third round picks, you look at, I don't know what Sean Ryan's career is going to be. I'm sorry, Surveyor Sam, but a third rounder and can't even get on the field right now, the offensive lineman. And maybe it's just an adjustment period, maybe playing a different type of position and such, but Zach Tom's getting playing time over him. He was a fourth rounder. There was times he wasn't even active for game days too. So hopefully it works out for Sean Ryan. Not ready to shut the door on him yet, but yeah, you'd like to see him potentially, get on the field, or at least, have some confidence that he's going to be. Because, if you're drafted in the third round, the expectation is, I would think, that eventually you're going to be a starter or a regular contributor. So this year's third round pick, Sean Ryan, haven't really seen anything from him. Amari Rodgers last year, third round pick, he's gone. 2020, third round pick, Josiah DeGuara. We've seen some plays, but again, probably not to the level that we expected. And I know he tore his ACL too a little bit, a year or two ago. But we kind of thought he was going to be that H-back type of guy lining up in the backfield, and we've seen that. But, thinking a little bit like how San Francisco uses their fullbacks and such. Maybe haven't seen enough of that yet. 2019 was Jay Sternberger. You go back to 2018, Oren Burks. 2017, Montravius Adams. That was Ted Thompson's final draft. 2016, Kyler Fackrell. 2015, Ty Montgomery. 2014, Kyrie Thornton. Richard Rodgers. They didn't have a third rounder in 2013. They didn't have a third rounder in 2012. Trading and all that sort of stuff. 2011, Alex Green, the running back. And then 2010 was Morgan Burnett. 2009, they didn't have one. 2008, Jermichael Finley. 2007, James Jones. Then Aaron Rose. But you get the point, right? And that's where I look at, that's why I love day two picks. Second and third rounders, and even like fourth rounders in day three. Like that 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. Rounds 2, 3, 4. Those are the picks, in my opinion, that they may be a little bit more difficult. Kind of have to go down your list because, the majority of people know who the first rounders are going to be. Once you get towards the back end, you got some guys that may get drafted a little bit earlier that people thought early second round, maybe they creep into the first round, and vice versa. Back end first rounders may fall to the second round, that sort of thing. But in my opinion, just my opinion, championship rosters are built with those second, third, fourth round picks. And Green Bay has done a good job in some of those areas. Fourth rounders, David Bakhtiari, right? Second rounders, Elton Jenkins. Hopefully Elton Jenkins can get back on path. Devontae Adams. So you're going through some history. A.J. Dillon, second round pick. Josh Myers, second round pick. We'll see how Christian Watson, how his career kind of plays out. But you can, and that's where I go back. Like I was looking at that 95 draft. I was going through some of these drafts. And I mean, even like for, I guess if you want to look at the 2010 team kind of leading up to that, I mean, TJ Lang was a fourth round pick. I know he wasn't a starter, but Jordy Nelson was a second round pick. Josh Sitton was a fourth round pick. We mentioned James Jones as a third round pick. Darren College was a second round pick, was a starter on a team. Greg Jennings was a second round pick. Jason Spitz was a third round pick. Kind of up and down career, but played some starting snaps. Nick Collins was a second round pick. To me, in my opinion, those second, third, and fourth round picks are the picks that I think GMs need to make their money. Like or the scouts need to make their money, because those are the spots that fill in your rosters that could get some prime playing time. Those are, to me, those are the spots that if you want to build a championship roster, you have to hit on your second, third, and fourth round picks. Everybody expects, and I know it's not always the case, but like, first round picks, yeah, those guys have to play. They have to be studs. It doesn't always work out. But if you can hit your second, third, and fourth picks and fill out a championship roster or a really good roster already with second and third and fourth round picks, you're in pretty good shape. And that's why I look back at that 95 draft with Ron Wolf. Packers were trending up, right? You had your quarterback. You had Reggie White. You had your pieces. You had some veterans. You added that, which like Sean Jones and Keith Jackson and et cetera, et cetera. But yet he went into that 95 draft and he found 5 starters and a special teams contributor that helped in that Super Bowl, in that Super Bowl 31. Heck, you can even look at the 1996 draft. But if we're focusing on just that 95 draft, 5 starters in that Super Bowl 31 team. Craig Newsome, William Henderson, and I know you could kind of like, well, Edgar Bennett, Dorsey Levens. William Henderson started 11 games for Green Bay that year. Antonio Freeman started 12 games. You had Adam Timmerman on there. You had Brian Williams. We mentioned Craig Newsome. Key contributors. And then, of course, Travis Jervey on special teams. I think, was it a year ago, year and a half ago, somebody asked me, what do you think is the best draft in Packers history? And we always focus on like Hall of Famers, right? We look at, okay, what drafts have the most Hall of Famers or close to Hall of Famers on there? And you could go like to late 50s, 60s with Jack Venisi and those drafts he had. But you kind of look at 95 and, yeah, there's no Hall of Famers on there. But when you want to talk about contributors, yeah, Timmerman, Freeman, Henderson, Williams, Newsome, Jervey. That's a pretty darn solid draft for a team that, in that year, in those years, trending upward, trying to get to that Super Bowl, and he nailed it by getting starters and those mid-round picks. Nailed it. So you look at Goody's draft history, and I know it's just from 2018. Then, his first draft. I would say he hit on Jair, right? He hit on Jair that year. Josh Jackson? No. Oren Burks? He's with San Fran. Jamon Moore? Nope. Cole Madison? He was dealing with some personal stuff. Never got to see that play out. J.K. Scott? He's with the Chargers, but wasn't working out in Green Bay. MVS? Making some money with Kansas City. Equinemius St. Brown? He's with Chicago right now, but wasn't doing anything with Green Bay. 2019? I think he hit on Rashawn Gary. Darnell Savage? Yeah, jury's out, but trending down. Alton Jenkins was off to a great start this year. Struggling a little bit, maybe not fully back from his ACL. Jay Sternberger, nope. Kingsley Keke, nope. Ty Summers, Kadar Holman, Dexter Williams, nah. Jordan Love, we'll see. AJ Dillon, I think we're satisfied with AJ Dillon. Cy DeGuara, maybe don't know yet. Kamal Martin, no, he was released really early too. John Runyon Jr., he's a starter. Jake Hansen, he's on the team. Jonathan Garvin, he's getting playing times in a role position. Last year, I should say 2021, Stokes, okay, seen some good stuff. Josh Myers, starter. Mike Rogers, gone. Royce Newman, benched. Slayton, getting in some packages for run stopping. Cole Van Lanen, gone. Isaiah McDuffie, led the team in tackles last week. Hill, gone. And then we of course know with Clay Walker, Wyatt, Watson, Ryan, Dobbs, Tom, Enoch Barre, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, he's hit on some good players, but obviously missed on others, like any other general manager in the league. But I think for a team like what Green Bay was in, with Aaron Rodgers, championship caliber team, you know, spent in free agency, brought in some veterans, brought in some key contributors. If you're going to keep those third, fourth, second round picks, you got to hit on those, because those, I think, if you are a team that, you're going for it, you're a championship caliber team, you've got a lot of high priced talent on your roster already. You spent some money, like Green Bay has done the last couple of years. You spent some money. You've gotta. It puts the pressure to hit on those mid-round picks, those second, third, and fourth. Throw in a little fifth rounder too. It puts the extra pressure on there to hit on those picks, that those guys are going to be contributors. The fact that Amari Rodgers, a third-round pick, is no longer on the team. Jay Sternberger no longer on the team. We don't know what Josiah DeGuara is going to be. Oren Burks no longer on the team. Montravius Adams not on the team. I know that's a Ted Thompson one, but the fact that those guys didn't even finish out like their contracts, their rookie contracts, some big time misses. And it puts that extra pressure on a championship caliber team that you've got to hit on those picks. And Goody has not hit on those picks. And it's not to say a lot of other GMs have either, but it just puts a little bit added pressure on there. If you're going to spend a lot of money in other areas, you're going to have holes in other areas, you've got to hit on your mid-round picks. Right now, you can make the case Green Bay has. But it's disappointing. It's disappointing. I mean, I remember when Amari Rodgers was drafted, we're thinking, hey, kind of a unique weapon maybe. Slot, special teams, did some good stuff at Clemson there. Hey, he's good friends with Randall Cobb. Kind of have that dynamic, and it just didn't work out. And you know what? I am sure he's going to probably land on another team. Maybe another team picks him up on waivers by today, claims him on waivers. He will be on another team, and maybe the change of scenery will do him best. But it didn't work out in Green Bay again. And you look at those third-round picks and some of those fourth-rounders, and if they would have, I don't know. I just feel like with what Green Bay the last few years, with that team that they built and the money that they spent, when you don't hit on those mid-round picks, that's a tough pill to swallow. Not even just one or two. Yikes. All right. We got to take a quick break here. Went a little long there. That's okay. We'll get back to more football talk a little bit later on. Bucks are back in action tonight as well, taking on the Cleveland Cavaliers. We'll talk about that. Bucks will be back on the court tonight. You can catch the action right here on the radio dials of 105.1 FM and 790 AM. Tip-off slated to start around 7, but we know it'll be a few minutes probably past that. But coverage will begin around 6:30 tonight, taking on the Cleveland Cavaliers. Bucks are favored by 4 in this game. If you're looking at the injury reports, Bucks almost kind of being facetious here, but it's almost as big as Green Bay's. Wesley Matthews is going to be out. AJ Green's going to be out. Pat Connaughton going to be out. Drew Holiday going to be out. Grayson Allen day to day. But we'll see if there's any adjustments on there. But at least the Greek Freak Giannis is fully off that list right now. But you've got the Bucks who have lost their last 2 games in a row. Cleveland, who is also off to a fast start this season, they have lost 4 games in a row. They're coming off of a loss against Minnesota this past Sunday. When you take a look at this matchup, of course, Donovan Mitchell. You'd love to have Drew Holiday in this game to maybe match up against Donovan Mitchell. Mitchell, who's averaging 31.6 points per game so far this season. You got Garland as well, who's averaging 21.1 points per game for that backcourt there. So, but Mitchell's on the injury list too, day to day on there. I would expect him to play tonight, although who the heck knows at this point, right? So, but it'll be an intriguing matchup. I think this will be a good game tonight. You got 2 teams that are trying to get off their little losing streaks here. The Bucks obviously not as long of a losing streak as Cleveland is right now with their 4 games. Bucks, 2 games, but yeah, this should be a fun one. You got 2 all-star players on here, 2 of the best in the league with Mitchell and Giannis. You got Allen, the big man for Cleveland as well. Kind of be lining up against, I would imagine, maybe Brook Lopez down below there too. But I'm pumped for this game. I was pumped for this game about a week or so ago when Cleveland and the Bucks were off to fantastic starts, hot starts. I know it's kind of simmered down here a little bit. It's cooled off a little bit here, but it should still be a very entertaining game tonight. Looking forward to that one. When you're looking at some of the numbers here for Cleveland here, just really quick, if you want to kind of take a look at some of the other numbers here. We mentioned Mitchell. We mentioned Garland. You've got Kevin Love, who comes off the bench, puts up 12 points per game too. Jared Allen, 14. We mentioned him with, down low. He's a defensive guy averaging 11.5 rebounds per game, but also puts up 14 points per game too. So as a team, just kind of looking at some of the – oh, now my computer just froze up. So that's how it usually goes, right? That's how it usually goes. So, but again, that tip-off will start at a little past 7 o'clock tonight. Okay, here we go. As a team now, this is what I wanted to look at for Cleveland. Cleveland, 9th in the league in scoring, 116 points per game. That is more than what the Bucks are at 11. Bucks are at a 111.5. When we talk about points allowed, though, Bucks are 5th best in the league, 107. Cleveland, though, right behind them, 108.9. So when we look at field goal percentage, kind of taking a look at that, Cleveland, top 10, 47.4. Milwaukee is not, is it? No, Milwaukee down there towards the bottom at 43.9. Yikes. 3-point percentage, Cleveland, 39.9, which is 2nd best in the entire league. So Bucks will have to hopefully get their perimeter defense rolling. It will be a big loss, though, with no Drew Holiday in the game to help defend that perimeter defense. Hello, Morgs.
Hey, cheerio.
How
What's
are
the
you?
word of the day? If you had 5-star rating system, what would you throw at the day so far? Decimal points allowed.
Okay, 2.5.
2.5?
Yeah.
That's smack
Still
dab in the
early.
middle.
Yeah, 50-50.
You're looking, you
So.
can tip in either direction.
Mm-hmm.
Did you hear about the Babe Ruth baseball glove?
No, I heard about Fuzzy Thurston's Super Bowl I ring that's going on auction this weekend.
Oh, you bidding?
If I had 6 figures.
Yeah, you would need about that much to get the Babe Ruth baseball glove, too. Most money ever at auction for a glove, $1.5 million. So if you know any baseball fans in your life, there you
Where
go.
do people just randomly, like, is this sitting in their trunks or,
Well, here's the thing. This is an unidentified buyer too, which I guess if you want to remain anonymous, that's your own thing. But like you said, who drives around and sees that and says, you know what, I got an extra 1.5 hanging out.
Yeah.
So that's reportedly the most money ever paid at auction for a glove. What do you think the ring's going for?
I was
Make it
reading a
stand.
little bit about six figures because Jerry Kramer's went for six figures. I think they said. I know.
Yeah.
I thought I saw Dave Robinson just sold his there too. Because I mean, they're obviously rare, Super Bowl one, that sort of thing. So
Would you rather have that like of memorabilia, ring over glove, jersey, anything like that?
I think it would depend on the era.
Okay.
So like, I'd rather have a Don Hudson 1940s jersey
Then
than
a Super Bowl one ring.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
That sort of thing. So I don't know. Like, I don't think if that was like, and I don't know what's going on. They could, financial stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But like, if that was a family heirloom, I don't think I could ever get rid of that.
Well, that's what I think too. When this stuff goes up for auction, it's one thing if it's donated and they're looking to do something with it, or maybe put it in a museum or something like that. But yeah, if it's a family thing, that to me at some point it stops being about a money. When people say there's no price tag, like sometimes that really is legit. There really isn't.
Yeah.
Especially if it's something like that that has provenance and meaning.
Like, I can't get rid of something that costs maybe $10.
What's the most nostalgic thing you own? This isn't a Wednesday wild card. I'll shuffle those up too. But while you're warming up here, what do you think is the most nostalgic item you own? Might not be worth monetarily a ton, but it got you in the feels.
Ooh, that's a good one. I don't know.
No?
I don't know.
Well, think about it. Here, I'll let you draw a card, and you can meander down another answer route before you go.
It kind of sucks too because you don't get ticket stubs anymore.
Oh, I have some ticket stubs in
So
mine.
I keep all mine, but now it's all digital, so I have to screenshot them. So, like, I would say, like, the ticket to take into Hudson's first game, but it's on a piece of paper. It's
I
not
have
like
that Giants playoff game stub hanging on my fridge. Not that it went well or went our way, but that was Favre's last game at Lambeau. So, I mean, I have that, little things like that I keep pretty tight and close too.
Yeah.
All right, Wednesday wild card. This seems like a pretty easy answer. It's a gimme, Kasper.
Oh, boy.
What's the best part of your day so far? Overlooking the obvi.
We are getting closer to the weekend.
Are you ready for opener?
No.
Why?
I'm a little down on it because, found that somebody was trespassing.
Oh man, trail cam.
Well, that's the thing. This is the other thing that grinds my gears on this Wednesday. I only got like 15 seconds.
That's all right. Grind them.
Found footprints because people snow, you leave footprints.
Right.
Somebody walked right through my food plot, 10 yards past my trail camera, up to my stand, walks back. But the thing that pisses me off, my trail cam decided not to take any pictures.
Oh man. So you got no pictures, but you have the evidence there.
$150 trail camera, just nothing.
Just leave a note that says, "Come back so I can see your face."
Exactly.
That's right.
All right, second hour on this Making a Turn Wednesday. Good morning, everybody. Appreciate you tuning in wherever and however you may be tuning in. Coming up just a little bit, we'll talk a little. We'll get back to some more football talk and such, but we'll talk a little baseball in there too, with the 40-man rosters kind of being set. Maybe a little bit of a surprise there with the Brewers bringing in Mr. Singleton. We just got done talking a little basketball, a little Bucks chat there as they get ready for the Cleveland Cavaliers tonight. College basketball last night, Badgers squeaking by kind of sort of against UW Green Bay. Not a very pleasant looking win, but a win's a win, I guess. Michigan State, though, taking down fourth-ranked Kentucky. Kansas getting the win over Duke as well. So we had some good games last night. So we'll chat some more hoops a little bit later on. And like I said, we'll get back to a little bit more football talk a little bit later on. But we kick off this hour with a little sports nuggets of the day. The New York Rangers in 1926 played their first game in the NHL. They beat the Montreal Maroons 1-0. 1957, Jim Brown set an NFL season rushing record of 1,163 yards after only 8 games. 1958, Bill Russell set a new NBA record when he got 32 rebounds in the first half of a game. Let's go with 1982. It was announced that the NFL and its players had a tentative agreement to end their 57-day strike. 1994, MLS, Major League Soccer, announced that it would start its inaugural season in 1996. Morton Anderson, 1997, became only the 5th player in NFL history to reach 1,600 career points when he kicked an extra point. And 1998, Roger Clemens became the first pitcher to win 5 Cy Young Awards. That time he was with the Toronto Blue Jays in 1998. So those are just some of your sports nuggets for the day. Speaking of which, it is awards week for Major League Baseball too, and Terry Francona and Buck Showalter getting their Manager of the Year awards. Longtime managers. Francona received 17 first place votes and 112 points, if you will, followed by the Orioles. Brandon Hyde, 9 first place votes, 79. And then the Mariners, Scott Cervais going with 1 first place vote there too. The NL voting was a little bit closer. Showalter, 8 first place votes, 77 total points. Dave Roberts had 8 first place votes as well, but just 57 overall points. And then Brian Snideker, 7 and 55. However, I don't know about you, Lucas, but I look at the AL managers, and I look at those managers of like Terry Francona and Hyde and the Mariners. You can make it. I would pick any one of those 3 over any one of the top 3 in the NL if it was an overall type award.
Yeah, I mean, Francona is one of the best in baseball. You can make the case he's, again, probably a perennial top 5, top 3. I put Craig Counsell in that category before, and that's always going to apply, even if in a given year he doesn't get votes. But he's really good. Great to see the local boy Scott Servais getting some attention, and with the Mariners finally breaking that drought. And I mean, granted, there was a good amount of talent on that team too, but you got to manage it pretty well.
Yeah,
and that's the sort of thing that Francona did, Servais did.
Brandon Hyde with Baltimore, nobody.
Yeah, Hyde. I mean, it just comes out of nowhere.
If this was like college football, he would be going to a big-time program now, probably. Yeah.
But a bunch of those guys. I mean, Francona would be the see, I almost want to do the David Shaw analogy with so Stanford's having an off year, but he'd be like one of those guys. Whereas someone like a Brandon Hyde would, of course, be like the next manager of the Yankees or something like that. There was more unexpectedness in the American League this year. The Guardians weren't expected to do much of anything. The Orioles were generally thought to be absolutely the worst team in baseball. And then they barely missed the playoffs with an above 500 record. Mariners, you could have made a case both ways. There was a good case for regression. Their stats really weren't good last year. Remember that whole thing about what the fun, what was it, the fun factor or fun meter? You know the quote I'm talking about, that I think it was Scott Service had said that or something like that. And well, their stats got a lot better this year and they won. So yeah, there's definitely more AL oriented. Yeah, I agree. I think there's more managerial orientation there, whereas in the National League, there was more talent.
Right.
One of those years.
I agree. So, what do you know off the top of your head what the award is for today? I had it up, but is it Cy Young?
Let's see. Should be, but let's see. MLB Award Week. What is on the schedule for later on today?
Winners are announced Wednesday. Yes, Cy Young.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So tomorrow, let's see. Yeah, tomorrow is going to be MVP.
Okay, and they'll wrap that whole up.
Yeah.
Sort of thing.
There
So,
we go. And let's see, the announcement was same time, so it'll come in at 5 p.m. Today. We'll get the Cy Young, and 5 p.m. tomorrow we get the MVP.
Do you like that Major League Baseball just spreads it out like that? Or would you rather have them do like the NFL, like just do it in one show?
I like dragging it out more because then you can pay more attention to the individual ones, focus on them more instead of getting like the whole wave coming in. So yeah, I do like that. Also, comeback player of the year will be on the 22nd. So on Tuesday, we'll get comeback player of the year.
And I know they got like the all MLB team too that they're going to be in. I don't think we have to worry about any Brewers making that.
Probably not.
So,
well, we could get Josh Hader winning the reliever of the year award on December 6th. So get excited for that, Brewers fans.
Oh yeah. So 40-man rosters though were due yesterday. So the Brewers added 3 of their top prospects to the 40-man roster, along with a surprise, John Singleton. So all 4 players would remain in the organization in 2023 with a chance to break into the big leagues by adding, I'm just reading a little bit here from Brewers.com, by adding Singleton along with Bryce Terang, which is no big surprise there, Abner Uribe and Cam Robinson. The Brewers shielded those players from other clubs in next month's Rule 5 draft. Singleton is the one that surprised quite a few people out there. First of all, he's a big man, but he was with the Astros in 2014, 2015, one of baseball's top overall prospects, but he battled some off the field stuff. He was suspended. It was out of baseball for a little bit there too. He is 31. He did do a little bit in AAA in Nashville. He led Milwaukee's minor league system with 24 home runs, led minor league baseball with 117 walks. He did earn an invitation to next year's big league camp by re-signing with the Brewers, but he also was exposed to the Rule 5 draft. So Brewers kind of electing to try to protect him so no other team could select him in that Rule 5 draft. But he is a left-handed bat. He is a first baseman. So there was questions like, well, Rowdy Tellez is over there too. Matt Arnold saying, as you work through these things, you always have to assess the chances that these guys get taken versus what they mean to your major league team. Ultimately, our group felt that this was a guy who could contribute to our major league team. It means a lot that he wanted to come back here, and just an incredible story, really. The fact he's overcome so many odds in his life is just really, really good story. I'm proud of him for everything he's been able to accomplish to get to this point. The nice part of it is that we have the DH now, right? So having both those guys is not an issue. I think they complement each other in a lot of ways. It allows you to get Rowdy off his feet some days too. Having multiple bats like that, we view it as a really positive thing. So 2 left-handed first basemen on this 40-man roster, which, I know everybody's kind of talking about right now, but that doesn't necessarily mean it will finish that way either.
No. Well, and Bryce Terang is a talent coming up. Again, number 4 prospect of the team, expected out of quite the future. They could once and for all end who's a good first baseman for the Brewers. It's like been the blind spot of that team for
ever since Prince Fielder left. It's kind of been just like throw somebody over there.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen plenty of other prospects. Think of the twosome that went down to Miami for the Christian Yelich trade. I mean, Brett Phillips and
Lewis Brinson.
They were the untouchables.
Well, Lewis Brinson was the next Hall of Famer. So
right, and is he in the league right now? And Phillips got DFA'd at one point last season. So you don't know. Terang may follow the same path. Or we may be talking about, is this Bryce Terang's team in about 3 years? I don't know. But that's the guy I'm most excited to see with the Brewers, presuming, of course, and gets through spring training. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes back down for a bit, but he's going to be at the show soon enough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's kind of where we're at right now. Nothing really in terms of big major league free agency news, but that might kick off more with the winter meetings next month.
Yeah.
When, you got all the GMs there kind of going through some numbers with the owners and all that fun stuff. But I mean, you look at guys like Aaron Judge, it's not like their value is going to go down the longer they wait. They can wait and find the best value. Let these teams outbid each other.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the smart move here.
I'll be fascinated to see what happens. Yeah, in about what date of the meeting starts?
Is it early part of December?
Yeah,
isn't
this
it?
is about 3 weeks from now.
Yeah.
Should get really interesting again, especially. Gosh, it seems like
December 4th through the 7th.
Okay, seems like it's always of late the shortstops.
Yeah, and there's a lot of them.
Bogarts, Correa, Turner. Oh boy, this is going to be fun.
I would say. I mean, what's your confidence that your 20s are going to bring back Correa?
Like about 2%.
Yeah,
it's not going to happen. And I mean, he was good, but he wasn't the difference maker. And I know there were enough other things going on with that team between incompetent pitching, questionable in-game decisions, and of course, lots of injuries, especially to the pitching. But Correa couldn't single-handedly bring that team back. Like, it was never in the MVP discussion. He had a great start. He was above average throughout the season for sure. He'll be valuable to another team. I also, though, should point out he's getting up there in age. He's got a good amount of injuries in his career. He may not get the biggest deal of these guys. I'm not sure who exactly does between him, Bogarts, Trey Turner, and Dansby Swanson. I think Bogarts probably gets the biggest one.
I think it's going to be interesting with the shortstops. Like, there's so many good ones from good teams that a lot of these good teams are just going to flip-flop some of these shortstops.
Whenever that discussion would come up on the Baseball Tonight podcast, and like Buster Olney would always ask a guest, who or where do you think these guys are going to go? And oftentimes you'd get some version of musical chairs, and maybe leave the Twins out, but like you'd get like Trey Turner would be going to the Braves, and Dansby Swanson would be going to the Red Sox, and Xander Bogaerts would be. I'm like, wait, so could they just like do a one straight up trade of like a three-way here? Would that work?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, why? I mean, you can't. They're free agents, so why bother? But you might as well do that in some of these cases. Watch out for this. Comes from that same podcast. Watch out for the slight but noticeable possibility of Carlos Correa as a Baltimore Oriole, because the guy who runs the personnel for the Orioles was involved, I believe, with the Astros. He's got a history.
Okay.
You wouldn't necessarily think Baltimore. I mean, I know they have spent big in the now distant past. I think it was in the late 90s when they were spending big. That would not be a complete shock. Don't anyone presume that Correa is going to an absolute big market, big money spending team.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So, all right. By the way, before we take a break, you want your 2 years for our showdown?
Yes.
1989, 2007.
Okay.
So 1989 and 07.
All right.
So I already know something about 07. Yeah. Don't know if it'd be good or bad.
Well, depending on what you're talking about, it happened in January of 2008.
Oh yeah, but the regular season.
Oh yeah, it was a good regular season though. That's a plus.
So it was. Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was. So, all right, those are your 2 years. So start doing your research right now.
Okay.
All right. We'll take a quick break. We'll get to some of your comments on the texting line, tweets, and Facebook, and all that fun stuff too. So we'll get back to some hoops talk and some football talk. But first, quick break. We'll be back after these few words. New episode of the Man Cave podcast will be dropping shortly after we get off the air here this morning. We're going to talk a little Yellowstone after the season 5 premiere, too, on that podcast. I think your wife would like Yellowstone, Lucas.
Yeah, might have to get her into that one.
It was a long premiere, 2 hours. I know they had like 2 episodes, but
Wow.
already 5 seasons. And they got another, what do they call it? Because they did the 1883.
What, there's like 66 or something? Like, are all the spinoffs 4-digit numbers?
Is there are they doing the 4 6s ranch one? Are they?
I've read that. Was it Time Magazine? I read that. So
okay. So I wonder. Okay.
Yeah, Yellowstone 6666 Ranch. Yeah, 6666 Ranch. That's
this guy. Okay, so Jimmy is going to be okay. I just looked it up. That's what my wife was wondering if Jimmy was going to be on there. But yeah, I won't dive into it too much. But they got another one. So like 1883, they did like with the Sam Elliott and Tim McGraw and Faith Hill.
Mm-hmm.
Another one's coming out. Oh, origin story, they're calling it. I think it's 1923. Harrison Ford is in that one. So.
Gosh, this is turning into like Marvel Cinematic Universe, only Western style.
Yeah, well, like this Taylor Sheridan, who's been doing all this, he's got a news show now where Sylvester Stallone's the Tulsa Gangster King sort of thing. So,
wow,
dude is all over the place.
He's having a moment.
He is. So
Jeez.
We'll talk about that. And we'll talk about a couple other things on the pod too. So, big thanks to Hy-Vee and Toyson Ford. Partners with the Man Cave podcast. You can check it out on your favorite podcasting platforms out there. By the way, surveyor saying, "Oh sweet Jesus, 07 was peak T-Pain." So,
yeah,
blame it on okay. Was that blame it? Yeah, we'll get to that later.
Oh, blame it. That was Jamie Foxx.
But T-Pain was on it though.
Was he?
Wasn't he?
I thought that was all Jamie Foxx.
Really? Oh.
Are you thinking of "I'm gonna buy you a drink"?
Maybe
oh no, T-Pain was on Blame It. You're right. But
did I just school you in a music thing, Lucas?
Kinda, sort of.
But that was released in 08.
You're thinking of that, or "I'm in Love with a Stripper."
Yeah, that too.
Still played on the radio as "I'm in Love with a Dancer." Gotta check.
Buy you a drink. Bartender.
Did you ever have the T-Pain auto-tune app on your phone?
I did not.
I did. That was hilarious for about like an hour.
A minute? Yeah.
Yep. And then it really never got used again. Back in that era when like the apps first started coming out, you're like, whoa, wait, I can auto-tune myself? Neat. And then you're like, what am I going to use this for again?
You know, this might be a good segue into, I was thinking if I wanted to bring this up or not, but like, what's your most embarrassing like moments from when like you were 17 to 21? Like, were you into something that's just really embarrassing? Like a fan of something?
Oh boy. Well, okay, so I was definitely not the cool kid. So by definition, I think it was all embarrassing. Well, let's see. Well, gosh. So 17 to 21.
So about 17, 21. So
I've been
senior in high school, getting out of high school, going into college.
So basically college years.
Yeah, you're transitioning into your next era.
Right.
Sort of thing. Because one of my most embarrassing things, but I'm still all about it, is kind of getting resurrected. Not really resurrected, but it's back out there.
What?
Netflix has all the seasons of Laguna Beach.
I watched it. So
okay.
Yeah. Yes.
I was a big LC fan. I had a huge crush on her. So
Lauren/LC.
Yes.
I always have to do the Lauren/LC. They never just did LC. It was always
Jay
Lauren
Cutler's ex-wife, who I don't like her. So
Kristen.
I didn't like her before she was Jay Cutler's ex-wife.
So are you more of a Laguna Beach person or a The Hills person?
I
know one is the spinoff, but which
Laguna Beach. Because I was a freshman in college when that came out, and there was a girl that looked like LC in one of my classes, and I didn't have the balls to talk to her. So I was just too intimidated. So, yeah. So, yikes. But, yeah, that's probably my most embarrassing thing. And I saw that Netflix was bringing it back, and all I could hear was the crappy music in my head from the theme song.
Let's see. So which one was, because The Hills was Natasha Bedingfield.
Yeah.
Unwritten. What was the Laguna Beach theme?
Do you want me to play it?
Well, I kind of remember it, but
let the rain fall down.
Yeah. Oh gosh, Hillary Duff. Let the rain fall down.
That thing. So.
Oh gosh.
Yep.
Wish I didn't remember that.
Yeah, surveyor said Jersey Shore. Yeah, I just got out of college when that
Jersey
popped
Shore
up.
came on right about the time that I was checking out of MTV. Like at that point, now I'm kind of aging out of it. And then this was right before MTV like went all ridiculousness / 16 and 16 and pregnant. Jersey Shore was like a hate watch for a little while, and then I'm just like, I can't.
GTL.
Yeah.
Jim Tail Laundry.
Did you ever GTL?
Not all in the same day.
Just like GL?
Yeah. And then
you ever
tanned from playing
I was gonna say,
bar softball league and on the weekends. That was about it. So
I'm not sure if I mean, see, like in the late 90s, that was like when the internet was booming, but it wasn't like watching stuff because you couldn't really watch any video legit like on the internet, even on like the when you got like the good connections at college that were not like dial-ups, when you actually got like on the college network. Still, like YouTube was the notion of YouTube was a completely like beyond a concept. That's like galaxy brain stuff back in 1998.
Mm-hmm.
Probably just like, I don't know. I mean, I did build my own GeoCities website around that time, so that might be.
What year did you do that?
Like about 98.
Okay, I thought you were still talking like 2010. I'm like,
no,
wait a minute,
back
what?
in my 17 to 21 phase,
okay.
I did one on.
I was like 11 when I did that.
Yeah, I mean, mine was on like music and.
Mine was on the Orlando Magic.
That's right. I remember that.
Yeah, because you visited probably with some great knowledge and info on the Orlando Magic.
Did you have a counter at the bottom of it?
I did.
Same for mine.
Yeah,
yep.
Everybody had a
that
counter.
was like the most awesome thing.
And you
would
just you'd click refresh to try to get those views up, and then you'd submit for some stupid award that somebody just made up.
The Webbies or something.
Yeah,
I'm up to 324. Woo!
Yeah.
And then it just doesn't move. And then like
you wait till we get to like the early 2000s, and that stuff will be brought up. So in our showdowns.
Well, and then you'd go like a couple weeks, and then you check back, and suddenly it spiked, and you're like, wait.
Yeah.
What happened? Like someone just found my website?
Yeah.
What's going on?
I never did a Packer one, believe it or not.
Really?
No, I was huge to NBA when I was like 10 and 11.
Interestingly, you've done a book on the Packers, but you haven't done a website on the Packers.
Nope. Yeah, that was my jam. That's why when I tell people like how I am with the Packers, that's what I was like with the Orlando Magic for a few years. I was diehard Magic, man.
Wow. Hey, good time to get back in. Get in right now. The elevator's already up to like the second floor with Apollo on the team, but
I'm all in on Milwaukee now, so all in.
Well, can they be your favorite was it Southeast Division team?
No, I don't go that route.
You
ride with one, and you only that's a rule. That's what I don't like about. I'm sorry, I'm going to call people out for this. You can't have more than one favorite team.
True.
You can't.
You can like a team, but you have to have one favorite.
Right. You cannot have more than one favorite in a single sport.
Right.
You can't. You just can't.
Right.
That's why I don't like it when when somebody will ask me, well, if you couldn't cheer for the Packers, who would you be your next favorite team? Nobody. Or let me rephrase that. They'll say, well, who's your second favorite team? Nobody. I got one.
I mean, I guess
I may root for a certain team at a certain point, like when we get to the postseason, but no, I only follow one.
I mean, I guess you could say you could technically have a second favorite team, but that's the point. They're always second. You can't have.
I don't have a kid that I don't have two kids that play on two teteams or anything like that, so I have to have two favorite teams.
Have one of those Franken jerseys.
Yeah, or like if Hudson grows up and he ends up playing for. I'm not going to say it because it won't happen, but like the Bengals, I wasn't going to say Minnesota or anything like that. But then of course, I got two favorite teams.
Yeah.
So, but right now I only got one.
Yeah,
I only got one. I have no second favorites. Not in baseball, not in basketball, not in football, and definitely not in hockey.
You're
number one Kraken fan.
Playoff bound Seattle Kraken.
Dude, hey, we were talking hockey yesterday, and the Jersey Devils were brought up. So.
Not your favorite team because it's the Seattle Kraken.
Correct.
Okay.
The future Stanley Cup champion, Seattle Kraken. So
you're going to get season tickets at some point?
No.
A little too far to go for that one.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Because it's in Seattle.
So, hey, I don't know if you ended up catching Peter King on Dan Patrick yesterday?
I did not.
So he was on there, and then he was also on Mad Dog, which I think he does every week. But a lot of talk is about the international games.
Yes, I mean, I did read the column.
Mm-hmm.
He had a big write. Did you read Football Morning in America?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah.
There's talk about more expansion, like Spain and France,
yes,
sort of thing on there, and
Australia with the Rams.
Yeah, and like Peter was saying yesterday about he thought like the NFL would probably love to have a division overseas, right?
Yeah, 4-team division, and then at the same time saying that, but the NFL's not really looking to expand. I'm like, so how does that work?
Right, and owners aren't going to move their teams over there. Like he said, everybody talks about Jaguars, but that's not going to happen. Khan's not going to do that. At least he doesn't think it will happen.
And everyone else is pretty much set stadium-wise, or they're on track to get one.
Mm-hmm. And he mentioned, I think yesterday in the interview, was it 8 or 10, or maybe it was between 8 and 10 games dedicated to overseas play going forward in a single season.
Mm-hmm.
Is that too much? Is that about right? Do you like the fact that they're doing this? Do you think fans at some point are going to be like getting annoyed because maybe they can't afford to go hop on a plane and go catch their favorite team?
I mean,
do you think that's going to be a thing?
I don't know how much it really makes a difference when you consider that you have approximately 60 to 70,000 people out of however many millions of fans a given fan base has for any particular game. Many of those fans go to multiple games. I mean, I'd say the vast majority in any given game are single timers, but there are plenty that go multiple times. But that's still a tiny, that's a small percentage of the total number of fans. As someone who rarely goes to game, yes, I'm going to a game. Yes, I'm going tomorrow, but that's going to be my first NFL game since 2019. Yeah, I know there was the pandemic, blah, 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 blah. But I'm kind of to the point now that if I never went to another NFL game, like I'd be like, oh, okay, I watch it at home. That's what most of us do. So as long as we're able to watch it in a comfortable setting, nice big screen TV, be able to follow stuff online, blah, 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 I think we're good. That's one of the big problems with attendance in any of the sports now is that the home experience has gotten so much better. So in that regard, it doesn't matter. With one exception, it's the time of the day. Mm-hmm. How many times can you get up at 8:30 on a Sunday?
Well, it depends if your wake-up calls are already 3 a.m. and when that's already sleeping in. So,
yeah, like if today were an example, speaking of getting up at 3 a.m, now clocking about 4.5 hours awake, thanks to a certain toddler of mine that decided, hey, I'm going to cry instead of sleep. Well, yeah, then in that case, like I could have already done my tailgating. I'd be good to go. I might fall asleep midway through the second quarter, but at least I would be all set for a morning football game.
But let me ask you, okay, so you mentioned the home experience then. Shouldn't that mean that if teams still want people to show up to their stadiums, lower ticket prices?
Well, that they've been doing all the enhancements, like
they've been doing it. But I mean, you look at some of the Packer tickets in the last few years, they've been going up in price.
What is the average ticket now?
We were talking about it this past weekend. C-Bound, if you're listening, you could tell me. But I think he said a few years ago, the tickets that we were sitting in were $100, but now they go for 180 something. And we were in the new section with the seat backs and that.
Wow. I mean, thing is, though,
because that's the thing, you're having all these streaming platforms. The NFL's raking dough, and I know shared revenue and that sort of thing. But how do stadiums then almost counter that? Because I feel like they have to counter that to still draw fans to come to their games.
Right now, it doesn't seem outside of Washington and Jacksonville that teams are really having trouble getting fans into the stadiums. I'm guessing there's something going on because of that thing that started about, was it like 5, 6, 7 years ago when they started having like behind the scenes access that you could get on your phones and stuff like that, but you had to be in the stadium to access it. And I haven't heard of anything since then. That tells me that, maybe this is more of an NFL thing, that fans are so diehard for the NFL compared to other sports that they will keep showing up. But obviously, like the two stadiums I just mentioned, doesn't happen everywhere. Doesn't happen in Washington. Doesn't happen in Jacksonville. I was, bit of a side note here, I was going through some old YouTube clips. I was trying to find footage of an old Vikings-Bills game, and I stumbled across a 1985 broadcast of like an NBC broadcast of a game at Kansas City. I can't remember who they were playing, but the camera pans, like the opening shot where they start like at the side and it pans across the field. Arrowhead Stadium had like a whole bunch of empty spots in the upper part, which is weird because you're like, Arrowhead Stadium, they're always there. Chief Kingdom. Okay, now the Chiefs kind of sucked in the mid-'80s, to be fair, but that used to happen, I think, with more regularity back then. Nowadays, most of these stadiums don't have any trouble filling up. Lambeau's not going to have trouble. So probably at a place like Lambeau, you don't need to do that because people are always going to want to go.
Is it the right people?
That was my next point. Who are you getting? Are you getting bucket list people? Are you getting stadium tour people? Are you getting opponent fans? Though, okay, so you were at the game this past weekend.
Mm-hmm.
What was the ratio of Cowboy to Packer fans?
There was quite a few Cowboys fans. And I know Aaron, kind of talked about it, maybe kind of thrown a little shade to the fans a little bit after. But I've been to 5 Packers Cowboys games, and there's always a good crowd of Cowboys fans there. There's always a good crowd there. And so it did surprise me. And then you factor in what the look at the Packers record and the Cowboys record. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like you're going to see that. So that didn't really surprise me to see that. And I think, who was I talking to the other day? I can't remember, but they were a Bears fan. I think they were a Bears fan. Yeah. Diehard Bears fan. But the only game they've seen is like they've gone to Lambeau because it's cheaper to see a Bears-Packers game.
Yeah. It depends on the fan bases. It depends on the atmosphere. Like, you didn't see the Bills-Vikings game because you were obviously you couldn't have gotten like the full like TV experience, for lack of a better term. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, that was such a fun atmosphere. And we all know about how Bills fans are like totally nuts. The Bills Mafia is crazy, and like a good crazy, but they're crazy. Oh my gosh, during that game, watching the fans there, like everyone is so into it. There were a decent number of Viking fans, but the Bills fans were just, they were so loud. It was like a college football game. That was the thing I thought watching that. Like, this sounds on TV like college. I feel like I'm in Alabama or something like that right now. But that's another place where they're always going to sell out because the fans are so passionate. I go to like Los Angeles, SoFi Stadium, where the 49ers take over. And like there's a handful of Chargers fans. But there, again, what kind of people are you getting? Are you necessarily getting fans of your team? Or are you just getting people to fill seats? I guess it depends on what your motivation is. I mean, there's a pretty decent case to be made that in Los Angeles, it's all worked out. They don't necessarily, like Stan Kroenke and the NFL don't necessarily care. As long as they get people buying stuff, and the mere fact that the team is there, they have NFL headquarters and make money, blah, 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 blah. And if there's no home field advantage, so what? That's a very nihilistic way of looking at it, but it's kind of mission accomplished.
One thing I want to maybe throw out to everybody else out there too, because I'll admit it, I'm at that point where it's like, dang, I got to drive 3 hours for a game, and I got to drive 3 hours back.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a fantastic time. So that was probably a top 3 time I've had at Lambeau, game-wise and everything. It was that awesome.
Cool.
Like, I know Aaron threw some flack at the fans, but that was probably the most animated I've been at a game. And I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that, and I've said this a couple times, I didn't expect to win. Usually when I go to Lambeau, I expect to win. I didn't expect to win. So the fact that they did got me jacked up.
Yeah.
But, you're getting at that point, it's like, oh, man, that's a drive. That's a whole day. That's a whole night. Yes, sound like an old man in that. But it's at that point now too. It's like, okay, what else? Like, what would really, if there's anybody else at that same place, like, what would like, I guess, kind of drive you to like, not have to think about buying tickets? I'm going. You know what I'm getting at?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, do I want to make that drive?
Where the logistics aren't a factor.
Yeah, and then you got to, the only way to get a hotel is you got to stay 2 nights, and you got to pay like 4 times the rate, sort of thing, and it's like, holy crap.
Wow.
I
mean, it's almost to the point now where I don't necessarily know. Like,
better giveaways, tchotchkes, what is it called?
Can koozies. Yeah. there's not as much, and maybe I don't know. Maybe it's the fact that I've gotten to go to enough games in my life in some pretty cool places that.
Yeah, or is there at a certain point like where you're like, okay, I've been there, done that, sort of thing?
I mean,
and it's not to try to sound like you're bragging or anything, but it's like,
I'm going to do the blatant humble brag right now. I have gotten the opportunity to go to Lambeau Field for free a whole lot of my life. But that's because I, Dan, you, a whole lot of us DJs were hosts for these Green Bay bus trips. There we go. Still making sure not to break the official legalities there. But we got to do that. I mean, how many people get to do that? We're lucky that we got to do that. And yeah, so after a while,
unless you were babysitting, I had to a few times.
Yeah, I know. And you kind of
did leave a couple people back because they didn't follow rules.
Yeah, there's.
Yes, they were Vikings fans too, but that wasn't because they were literally too drunk. They didn't even go to the game.
Yeah,
and
these were free trips, but also with great importance comes great responsibility. Blah,
okay,
blah, blah.
Spider-Man.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, we're also dealing with drunk people too. But still, we got to go to Lambeau many, many times. And it was to the point where towards the last few times we have done bus trips, who knows if we ever do them again, that I was like, if I never do another one of these, I'm okay. I mean, imagine telling that to 1995 me, that you're going to get to the point where you're going to be borderline bored with
Lambeau. I didn't go to my first game until 2005. I was in college.
Yeah. Like the first time you went, it must have been like Taj Mahal level stuff.
Yeah. It was,
now, I mean, yes, obviously there was, the cowboy trip was pretty cool, but you've done this before. After you do some of these, then going to like almost anything else short of like maybe a Super Bowl that involves the Packers or something. And also I think it depends on the context of the game that's being played. Like, again, in my case, when it comes to football, there are going to be way bigger stakes involved for my favorite team than for your favorite team, just because of their histories. So if I were given the opportunity to drive to a Super Bowl where the Vikings could win it, that's just going to be bigger. Maybe for you, it might be the Brewers and a legitimate shot of like, if you had a game seven at American Family Field, are you moving everything off the schedule to get there?
I did that in 2011.
Yeah, but the World Series.
No, that's what I did. Like when World Series, like when they beat the Diamondbacks and we found out that it was the Cardinals upset the Phillies. I remember specifically the next day I was at a bar in Rapids because that's where I was working. And me and the bartender were making plans to go to the World Series already.
So you would have done, okay.
Oh, yeah. Because we were looking up tickets because we thought, okay, wait, we got home field advantage. It's the Cardinals. We're going to the World Series, man. And it didn't obviously happen.
Didn't happen. So that would be yours, I would think. Would that be the number
unless Green Bay was playing in Minnesota for a Super Bowl?
Yeah, I suppose. NFC Championship game.
Well, not NFC. I'm talking Super Bowl.
Well, yeah, and that's an impossibility. Like you mean Green Bay playing in a Super Bowl US Bank Stadium? Yes, and
yes.
Okay, yeah, gotcha. Okay.
Although I'd probably get credentials for that one. So
yeah, I was thinking like Duke, North Carolina, but now we've now seen Duke, North Carolina in the Final Four. Like that's now happened, and that was a very epic thing. I'm sure for a lot of Duke and North Carolina fans, it was like that was the thing. That was the biggest thing that they could ever do. So yeah, but that's the thing.
What would be the sporting event that money would be no object?
You just do it because
you're that diehard of a fan. Like not in the past, but like right now. And I'll open that up to anybody else. Like what would be like money would be no object. And I guess, like I maybe money no object, but like you would really seriously consider, like going to your wife like, hey, honey, sorry, I got to take 10K out of our savings or something like that because I'm doing this.
I think for me, it's got to be Vikings in the Super Bowl. Part of me actually was thinking Aston Villa in a Champions League final. Internationally, that's bigger. It would be.
Because I know when they went to Super Bowl 45 Green Bay, I was looking at tickets. I think they were almost 10,000.
Yeah.
And then I seriously thought about going down there because remember Jerry Dome was playing the game outside the stadium.
Yeah.
And you could go and sit in a parking lot and watch it. I seriously thought about doing that.
Yeah.
And I used my better judgment on that one. but I was only 22, 23, so that's why I seriously thought about it.
Yeah. I think that would be it for me. That sounds, yeah. I'm curious what other folks, but again, where you can spend any amount of money.
Mm-hmm. And let's say, would you say 10K is probably the line, like the bare minimum? Because you're talking Super Bowl ticket, and you could factor in hotel, lodging, travel, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, let's say that.
Like if you were comfortable spending 10K on something, sporting event wise, what would it be?
Where it's realistic. So we're not talking like, hey, you get to be a 30% minority partner with the Cowboys.
Right.
Like, yeah, sure, I'd take that, but that's never happening.
Right. We're talking about going to an event sort of thing.
Right, yes.
That thing.
Actually realistic. Okay.
I mean, Masters. If I could see Tiger in the final round on a Masters.
Yeah, put it that way. I mean, like going to the Masters, like I'm sure a lot of us have thought, like, kind of cool to go to the Masters, and then you never do it because price, logistics, etc.
Well, then it's a lottery.
Well, I suppose that's now more of a factor because the last time I thought of it, I don't think there was a lottery for that. But getting in with, if you knew Tiger Woods was leading going into Sunday and the Masters, and you were told,
like, this could be his last tournament or something.
Yeah, like at 8 p.m. Saturday night, you get a text from a very trusted source saying, all right, if you, I got a ticket, you can fly down.
Yeah. Like, sorry, honey. I know it's Easter Sunday.
Would that be it for you? And I'm going to throw one more thing on here. You would be at 18 at the green.
18 or Amen Corner would be pretty cool, though, too.
I know it's Amen Corner, but
it's 18,
and get to see
the crowd and the
and
reaction
your front row,
amongst
all the dudes with khaki shorts and caps,
with my pimento cheese sandwich in hand.
There you are in the background taking a bite as Tiger Woods wins. You become a meme.
I'll have to think about that one.
Pimento cheese sandwich guy.
I'd have to think about that one. Yeah. But that, because that was kind of similar too. I did get asked to go to, and I said no. But like when Badgers went to the national championship against Duke, kind of that, it was a quick turnaround, right?
It was.
It was like they're in the Final Four. Hey, they beat Kentucky, and I remember the next morning I got a text like, "Hey, got tickets. This is the amount of money you want to," and I said no.
But a bigger deal for you would be Tiger at the Masters than the Badgers winning an NCAA championship, right? Being at,
I loved that Badger team, though.
Yeah, I know.
I loved that, and it was a Duke. I don't know. I seriously have to think about that.
But you get to be like 30 feet away from Tiger Woods putting a Masters championship. 30 feet.
Yeah, probably. Because I think the
distance to the street outside this building, and you're there.
I think the deciding factor there is that it's at Augusta and it's not at,
Yeah, if this is some random course in Idaho, okay, that's right.
I don't know this Idaho. Does Idaho have good golf courses? I don't know.
I've never heard of one. So right now they're all rando.
They probably got like a potato open. I'm serious. I don't know.
They probably do.
All right, quick break. We'll be back finishing up this hour. Then we've got the showdown plus a Good Vibes Wednesday coming up after these few words. All right, we only got like less than a minute here, so we'll do some stock reports and showdown and our good vibes in the final hour here this morning. So we went on a little bit of a long tangent there. That's okay, though. That's
fine.
okay.
Yeah.
Surveyor said New Zealand versus Australia or England in the World Cup final. I would go without a doubt. You excited for the soccer World Cup?
I am. I'm getting there. The time of year is completely screwing me up.
Yeah.
But I'm starting to get into it. Yeah, like I got like.
Why is it this time of year they're doing it?
It's Qatar because in the summer
so it depends on the country.
Yeah, well, it's ordinarily would be no problem, but they put it in the Middle East,
right,
when it's like 112 degrees during the summer and humid.
Yeah, so it depends on the country and weather-wise
entirely.
and
Which this should not have happened, but that's a whole nother story.
Gotcha. All right, 2 in, 1 to go. We'll be back. We'll kick it off with a little showdown after these few words. Final hour on this Making the Turn Wednesday. Appreciate you all tuning in. However, wherever you may be tuning in, speaking of wherever you may be tuning in, shout out to Mark driving back from Indiana this morning after an Ohio Bobcat victory last night. Thanks for the good show and riding along with me. Well, thank you, Mark. And he said, and a good point here, too. This is something that I know I've complained about, but I get why it is. He said the hard part about going to Lambeau from Eau Claire, Packers never have noon Sunday games.
Yeah.
And as Mark Murphy he addressed that, too. He's like, well, if you have a lot of them, it's because you suck. And they haven't sucked the last few years. So
that's true.
Kind of take it for what it's worth there at that point. So, all right, you ready for a little showdown here this morning? Let's do it. I will say one of these years for the movie category absolutely dominates. I don't want to give it away yet, but it just flat out dominates. So just giving you a little bit there. So we'll start it off with sports first and then go to the movies, and then Luke's got the music category covered. So 1989 in the world of sports. 49ers over the Bengals. That was the John Candy game.
Yes.
The John Candy game. So, hey, look, John
very
Candy.
good. Yeah, very good Super Bowl.
Yes. So that was that one. Notre Dame beat West Virginia to win the national championship in college football.
Hey, it was the year of the Herschel Walker trade.
That's right.
Yeah.
How about that? Jim Abbott made his major league debut. The one-handed pitcher, Jim Abbott.
That's right.
The Oakland A's won the World Series over the Giants 4-0.
And the Pete Rose banning happened that year.
Michigan won the NCAA championship 80-79 over Seton Hall. We got the Pistons beat the Lakers to win their first championship. The Chuck Daly, Isaiah Thomas, and Joe Dumars Bad Boys.
Timberwolves started that year.
Oh, that's right.
Late that year is their inaugural season.
Wouldn't that have been my Magic too?
Yes.
That's right.
Orlando and Minnesota expansion that year.
How about that? We've got, what else do we got here? Kind of going through some of the big ones there. Nick Faldo won the Masters. Payne Stewart won the PGA championship.
Steffi Graf took 3 of the 4 Grand Slam tournaments.
Okay. Stanley Cup, it was Calgary over Montreal. 2 Canadian teams. We've got anything else I think really big in 1989? That's kind of it, it looks like.
That was the bulk of everything. Steffi Graf was Female Athlete of the Year. Joe Montana, Male Athlete of the Year.
Should we go on to 2007?
Yes.
2007 in the world of sports. So remember, that year was when the Colts and Peyton Manning beat the Bears. If we're talking about the Super Bowl, that kind of started the year. But the year finished with the Patriots going undefeated in the regular season. And then 08 happened. Beginning of 08 happened. That was also the year Favre's final regular season with the Packers, 2007. That year they went 13-3. So we got Florida Gators dominated Ohio State in the national championship. I remember watching that game. That was so boring. That was the who was the guy? Ted Ginn Jr. Was that the year? Yeah,
I think so.
For Ohio State.
So yeah, it was not the greatest.
Nope. Oh, Barry Bonds became Major League Baseball's career leader in home runs.
Yeah.
In 2007. Boston swept the Rockies in the World Series.
I think that wasn't the last sweep, but I remember that was a boring season.
Yeah.
Remember when the Rockies went on that run, like they didn't lose a postseason game and then they got to the World Series and kaput.
I remember, was it one game in the postseason? Was that the Matt Holliday slide that should at home, and then
I think so.
That debate there sort of thing.
Yeah, I think that was the one.
We got Bob Knight became the winningest coach in men's basketball history when he was with Texas Tech at that point. The Spurs won their 4th NBA championship, sweeping the Cavs. LeBron James got swept.
That was a very impressive run, though, by LeBron.
It was.
To take the team that he had around him was nothing.
No, that's tongue in cheek.
It was basically, seriously, it was literally this. Okay, it wasn't literally, but it was practically the Spurs versus LeBron.
Yeah. Yep. Tiger Woods won his 13th major championship when he won the PGA championship that year.
Hey, your Anaheim Ducks, your Anaheim Ducks won the Stanley Cup.
There you go. Right. Yep.
Pretty big year for you in hockey. Where were you when the Ducks won the championship?
07.
Yeah.
I would have been while still in college.
June of 07.
June of 07. Ooh, yeah, I would have been
watching the game.
No.
Okay.
That was 07. No, that would have been 08. No, 07. Was that when Florida beat Ohio State in men's basketball national championship?
Yes, it was.
The Greg Oden and the
oh yeah,
Mike Conley Jr. and then you had for Florida. Oh, who was the kid? I mean, they had a bunch of first rounders.
That
was
team, because they did the repeat. Because I remember that team: Joakim Noah, Al Horford.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
Oh gosh, who are the other guys on that team? I'm blanking right now.
Corey Brewer.
Yes.
Green. Torn Green. So.
Yeah, that was a heck of a team.
Yep. Billy Donovan.
Yes.
Billy Donovan.
I mean, I'm saying 1989 right now. What would you say? I like the Super Bowl kind of tips it.
Honestly, that's kind of where I was leading. I was kind of leading towards that way. Although, I mean, you could say Peyton Manning won his first Super Bowl for 07.
He did.
Tony Dungy won his only in first Super Bowl in 07.
Probably the arguably the best Super Bowl halftime performance happened that
was
year.
That was Prince, right?
Yep, in the light rain, performing Purple Rain.
Tell you what, I'm going to come back to this one. I have to think about this one a little bit.
Okay.
It's not because it's a great 2 years of sports. It's just there's not really one thing that kind of jumps out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. My vote is still 2007, but it's a close.
I thought you said 89.
Sorry. Yeah. Right. Okay. 89. Yeah. Okay. My vote is 89. Thanks for the correction on that.
Okay. I'm kind of leaning towards that, but give me a little bit here.
Okay.
Now, movies, it's not even close.
Okay.
It's not. I don't know if you had a chance to look at some of these, but
I'm going to. You want to do 2007 first?
That's what I was. Yeah, I was going to go 2007 first here. So, let's just go. So the number I'm using IMDb. Okay, Enchanted was on there.
No Country for Old Men.
Good movie.
Good movie. Yeah.
Yep. Transformers, Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. There Will Be Blood was a good movie.
Yeah.
Spider-Man 3. Into the Wild. I have the book. I have yet to read it. Superbad. Rob Zombie's Halloween. Zodiac was on there.
Juno was that year.
American Gangster. We had Trick or Treat's not a bad horror movie. We actually have that one on DVD. Shooter with Mark Wahlberg. I Am Legend. Will Smith. Got Knocked Up. You got Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End. There was one more I wanted to kind of bring up. Where was it? Paranormal Activity. I went to the movie theater to watch that one. I think I did. Didn't I? Yeah, I did. Why was that? Oh, I think that was, yeah.
A lot of sequels.
There was. Born Ultimatum. Was this day or that year too? Ooh, The Game Plan with The Rock. But, okay. So those are some of your B movie with Jerry Seinfeld. I guess we could throw that one out there.
So how about 1989?
Well, I'm going to do it this way with 1989. I'm going to start from the bottom and work my way up because it is that loaded.
Starting at number 50 with My Left Foot.
No, I'm going further back.
Oh, wow. Number 3,760?
Yes. No.
I'm going to find what that one is.
You got The Punisher came out that year, the original Punisher. And I was a big fan of this. I've got the movies and the series, season 1 number on DVD. The Return of Swamp Thing. Yes. Heather Locklear was in that. I was a big Swamp Thing. I had a Swamp Thing toy where it was the action figure and his hand came out. So you could stretch it out and then to wind it back up, you had to push his legs together. So I remember this stuff. Turner and Hooch.
Yes.
If you want to put that one on there. We've got Nightmare on Elm Street 5. Okay, yeah, whatever. Kickboxer with Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Jean-Claude Van Damme.
On there. So then we get into a little bit more in deep ones right here, which I can't. These are bringing back some good memories, and you don't want to talk about embarrassing stories about myself here. We've got Star Trek Final Frontier was on there. Lethal Weapon 2. I'm a big fan of the Lethal Weapon series. Love Lethal Weapon. We've got Look Who's Talking.
Mhm.
I remember watching it as a kid all the time. Born on the 4th of July.
Yes.
Tom Cruise. Tango and Cash. Come on, Sylvester Stallone, Kurt Russell. We've got Field of Dreams, 1989. We've got Glory, great Civil War movie. Matthew Broderick, Denzel Washington, if you haven't checked it out.
Weekend at Bernie's.
So,
Bill and Ted's.
Weekend at Bernie's. I used to do as a kid. This would have been the second one, but since we're talking about Weekend at Bernie's, I used to do the Dead Man Walk. If anybody knows the second one, you know what I'm talking about, right? So, Bill and Ted's Pet Cemetery, good movie. Ghostbusters 2, Major League.
Do the Right Thing.
Yep.
Well, yeah, Major League.
Major League's on there. Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Parenthood, Say Anything. Oh, my gosh.
Uncle Buck. Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
The Abyss.
Little Mermaid, if you want to go Disney. Back to the Future 2, When Harry Met Sally.
Steel Magnolias. I mean, that.
Batman.
It was, what was that, Julia Roberts coming out party?
Yeah. Batman.
UHF. Woo!
Dead Poet Society. Roadhouse.
And soon to be remade, a reminder.
Not watching it. The best Christmas movie of all time, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
Nice.
Not even close. It's 1989.
Yeah.
Not even close.
That was an absolute mauling.
Yeah. I mean, you had movies like in these rankings in the 60s that would probably be top 5 in 2007.
Yeah.
So, not even close. 89.
Well then, okay. All right.
That's why I'm holding the 89 and 07 sports one, because I want to see how the music thing goes.
Yeah. And by the way, I did look at like the popularity ones to see what was 3007, 60, and then you get like international films I've never heard of. So that we're not talking like another Jean-Claude Van Damme. Like what was the average star given to a Jean-Claude Van Damme movie? It was like a 1.1.
I think Kickboxer was like 4 or something on here. I'll have to go back to it, but
because I always remember looking at TV Guide and I looked through like all the movies in the back, and every time a Jean-Claude Van Damme movie would come up, it always had 1 star.
Do you know how much UHF grossed money-wise?
It didn't gross a lot.
$6.16 million.
I mean, compared to some of the other ones,
compared to Batman that had $251.19 million.
Yeah, it's a cult classic, shall we say.
Mm-hmm.
It's very Weird Al. Album-wise, another one that's going to go. Well, music-wise in general. But 1989 had, let's see, Full Moon Fever, Tom Petty. So, talking, I Won't Back Down, Free Fallin'.
I'm surprised nobody remade the Won't Back Down to like more like a, how do I want to say this? Like a sports, like heavy, stadium type of music.
That's, considering all of the other covers we've had. That's a little perplexing. Rhythm Nation from Janet Jackson was that year. A Pretty Hate Machine from 9 Inch Nails. Pump from Aerosmith came out that year. The one with Love in an Elevator, et cetera, et cetera. Hey, Nirvana's first album, Bleach, came out in 89. Dr. Feelgood, Nick of Time from Bonnie Raitt came out that year. Did I say Like a Prayer, Madonna?
Yes.
Okay. Cosmic Thing from the B-52s came out that year. Over in 2007, Graduation from Kanye West, In Rainbows from Radiohead. Both came out. After that, looking through again, albums start to get a little, just because of the way music was being consumed by that point. So if you're looking at the top songs, and again, some of them came out the year before, but 2007 had Umbrella. Ella. Buy You a Drink, T-Pain.
This was, so 2007 is when I turned 21. So you can factor in like a lot of these songs. It was like when I was hitting the bar, they
it's
were
like Sheet Ands.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Sheet Ands and all that. Yep.
Big Girls Don't Cry. Your Girl, Carrie Underwood, Before He Cheats.
Oh God.
Let's see. I Want to Love You, the safe version of Akon. A lot of Akon in this list.
Akon, Young Jeezy.
Yeah. Glamorous. Before he became known as the sample for Jack Harlow, Glamorous was up there.
For me, I'll be on the block with my yeah.
Gosh, a lot of Fergalicious was out that year. Soulja Boy.
Yeah.
Woo! Yeah, that this was the year that like Timbaland was on like every other song too. That
Yeah.
he was huge back then. Daughtry had their breakthrough. 89 songs. Let's see. Wind Beneath My Wings. Oh, Milli Vanilli.
Wait. Wind Beneath My Wings as in
Beaches.
Oh God.
Yeah. Song that was on like every American Top 40 request and dedication in the 1990s. Because I'd be listening to that on my paper route in the 90s on like Saturday or Sunday mornings.
Well, that got you rolling then, didn't it?
Oh yeah, totally. Like I'm going around like I'm half awake. Could you please play Wind Beneath My Wings? Again, you've done this for like 15 weeks. Can someone stop requesting the song already? Good song, schmaltzy, but good. But seriously, musically, I'm going to give this one to 2007.
Ooh, yes.
Yeah. So, movies are 89, overwhelmingly.
Yeah.
Music, it actually leans 07.
Ooh.
So this is going to come down to sport ball.
I'm going to put it out to the I can't because I got to keep it. I got to keep it non-emotional for me because I would go 07 just because I want 07 to go. So I'll put it out to the listeners to
Which
vote.
was a better year in sports?
In sports. 89 or 2007.
Yes.
89, 2007. Best year in sports. And try to keep the emotions out of it. Like the personal side.
Not that your wedding song does not count.
Right. So just an innocent bystander. If you had to pick 89 or 2007, which was the best year in sports? I think I know what's going to win. But
we'll see.
We'll put it in the hands of the voters.
Yeah.
Okay. You decide. Decision 2022 on November 5th, 16th for like the next 20 minutes.
Y'all thought the elections were done. Nope.
So, all right.
Still run some negative ads during the commercial break.
Yeah, right. Oh, I was surprised you went 07. So that's why. Okay. Because 07, yeah, that one's. Oh, yeah.
Okay. So now, okay. Side note, did you get the whole where would you go if money were no object thing from Kyle Brandt's thing on Good Morning Football?
I did not.
Because right now I'm scrolling through Twitter, posted 55 minutes ago, Whiteboard Wednesday. The concert, past or present, you'd have done anything to get tickets to would be.
Oh, I did not see that.
Yeah, seriously.
Oh, okay. So they're listening to our program. That's cool.
Well, that was 56 minutes ago. So I was right about the same time. Kyle Brandt's, by the way, was the Motown 25 concert.
Okay.
That's the one where Michael Jackson first did the
moonwalk.
The moonwalk.
Okay.
It's a pretty decent concert.
How about you? Because you're the music guy. I don't know what mine. I'm not that big in,
Actually, yeah, that is a tough question.
Okay.
I think it's Woodstock.
Yeah.
The whole experience, like I'd be miserable in real time with all the mud and just being out in the midst of like humanity for 3 days. But it's Woodstock.
Let me ask this, going back to the sports thing, because you're the weather geek too.
Yeah.
So they're talking like 3 to 6 feet of snow for Buffalo Browns.
6 feet of snow? So
3 to 6 feet.
Well, that is Buffalo. They do get lake effects.
Yeah, they're talking like the worst lake effect snow, like thunder snow and all this stuff.
Yeah.
So 3 to 6. Knowing if you could spend a few days there, would you want to go to a game like that and sit in the stands with that kind of weather? Like I was at the snow globe game with Green Bay and Seattle.
Yeah.
But like this is feet, man. We're talking 3 to 6 feet.
Yes, I would. That like in terms of like,
because it's probably gonna be bad football.
Let's see. Right now, the forecast for Sunday: snow showers, 80% chance of snow showers, and a high of 31. But that's still a ways out. So I know the lake effect snow warning ends on Sunday because I'm looking at the National Weather Service right now. Heavy snow from Thursday night through Saturday. So they may actually luck out on this one. In terms of Thursday night, new accumulation of 9 to 13 inches possible. Then they don't have accumulations going forward after that. It's just like, we'll just see where it goes from there. I do kind of wish I were at or had been at the snow game, the Buccaneers Packers game from 85. Would have been a blast to be at that one. And like, I remember watching it on TV. I was down in Grafton where it wasn't snowing, where it was raining, down the eastern coast of Wisconsin.
So what if you had to choose between cold, 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 or snow, 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 yet you have to drive?
I'll take cold.
Okay.
Easily. I mean, I already did.
Yeah.
That was the coldest game in Viking history.
Mhm.
And we remember talking about this when
I was at the second coldest Packer one.
Right. Yeah. Like those are the ones because you're getting more into like the extremity of being able to handle the experience. Snow you can handle. I mean, the travel kind of sucks, but once you're there, you're kind of good.
Mm-hmm.
Like a thunderstorm would be more like, of course, you're not going to play in a thunderstorm, but that would be more of like a challenge. Being in the cold is a challenge.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd prefer that.
It's like almost a badge of honor. I feel like for some people used to wear it. Like, oh, I was at that. That's why that's why you have 250,000 people saying they're at the Ice Bowl.
Like I'm gonna, as sucky as the end was, I'm gonna brag up that Viking playoff game for the rest of my life because I was at the coldest ever. Like that's a thing.
I'm sure when I'm 70 years old, I'll be saying that I had frostbite at my game and all that, and I'm lucky to survive all my fingers and toes and all that stuff. I'm sure it'll turn into that.
You start like if just some random thing happens to your finger, you're like, yep, it's because of that game.
Exactly. Yeah.
It was never the same after 2007.
I remember it was like shortly after that, and I'll probably make this a bigger deal than what it needs to be when I get older. But like I remember I used financial aid money to buy a ticket to that game. And so I'm sure it'll develop into I didn't have any class, I didn't have any books for that class for the whole year, and stupid stuff like that.
Oh yeah, I'm seeing the Andrew Siciliano thing from AccuWeather.
Yeah. Wow. 6 feet of snow.
Okay, that's cumulative Wednesday through Sunday. So they're not getting 6 feet of snow during the game.
No, but
that would be a problem.
Yeah. That'd be fun.
Though Josh Allen still would be sticking, his head would still be above the snow.
Mm-hmm. Wow, 6. That's just wow.
But you're familiar with Buffalo and massive amounts of snow, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Like
But I was thinking about this when I saw this yesterday. I'm like, don't complain anymore, people in Wisconsin.
Like, okay, seriously, the whole it's snowing. Like, folks, it's November in Wisconsin. It happens. It has forever. Mm-hmm. What's the shock here? You don't like it? Move to San Diego. It's a pretty nice place. But go there, okay? Ugh. We do this every year. We freak out like, oh, no, snow's coming. Yep, it is. It's Wisconsin. What did you expect?
Right.
Tornadoes? Well, I should be careful what I say because
you be careful.
That did happen last year. So,
All right. So the sports vote's about 66% going 89. So we'll leave it open for 10 more minutes. Okay. 10 more minutes. What year was the best year in sports? 89 or 2007? This will decide who moves on into our bracket challenge. 89 or 2007. Right now, it's about 66% saying 89. All right, we'll take a quick break, and then coming up, we'll talk a little bit more football. Packers releasing a couple of players yesterday. One, Packers fans excited about. Tomorrow night, don't forget, we'll be at Hy-Vee with the launch of Man Cave Lights. Be over there around 6:30, go to about halftime between Green Bay and Tennessee. Plus, they've got the combo Dan Good Burger fries and a pint for just $10. So we'll see you there tomorrow. And don't forget Jake Bilks, our DNR warden buddy, will also be there to answer any questions if you're getting ready to head out to the woods for the opener this weekend. So send off. We got Green Bay, Tennessee tomorrow night, and a little send off for opening day coming up this weekend.
What is your thought on the Packers breaking out the color rush tomorrow night?
Okay.
It's back.
Yeah.
So they're going to be wearing all white, and the Titans are going to be wearing all navy.
Yeah.
That's going to be weird. I mean, not as weird as when the Bears were wearing their home uniforms at Lambeau. I'll take the Titans.
I mean, I like the all white. I do.
Like, it's not inherently bad, but it's going to be, well, especially me being in the game tomorrow, and I'm going to see the Packers wearing white. I'm like,
I kind of wish it was snowing during that too. It'd be really difficult to see. So, let's see a little white helmet or yellow helmet running through.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I saw that. I think Pro Shop accidentally leaked it.
Yeah,
because of the cover of the game day thing. So,
by the way, did you hear that the Bucks can no longer wear?
Yeah, the Cream City ones.
Yeah. But did you see the explanation for it?
I saw it was a technical error. I never got to read what was,
because Uniwatch ended up doing. Paul Lucas got a hold of the guy with the Bucks who did the tweet. And he was like, I don't know if I really want to like open up a can of worms. And finally, he did a Q&A. So it's on a Substack, but it's a free read because Paul Lucas is regular. Like, he has Uniwatch, but then he has like deep dives that he puts on Substack. But this one is free. And it actually has to do with digital ads. That when they went to the bubble in 2020, when the Bucks would wear that year they had the 1920 season, there was one with a Cream City script on the front.
Mm-hmm.
And during some of the local TV broadcasts, because they had to superimpose digital ads for the local broadcasts because they weren't in the home arenas while they were in the bubble, for some of those broadcasts where the Bucks were involved, they would disappear behind the digital ads because cream and the wood color is the same.
Okay.
And so the NBA said, nope, you can't wear those anymore. And what was interesting is that guy with the Bucks, I can't remember his name, but he said two interesting things. One, the plan was to alternate blue, cream for the city alternates. And you know how they've been always wearing blue of late, and this year they got blue? That wasn't supposed to happen. Now, and he didn't say permanently, like maybe they'll figure something out down the road and maybe they'll come back. But also that when they came up with the uniforms back in 2015, the original plan, like what they wanted was that the home uniforms would be cream. They wouldn't have white. It would be cream.
Okay.
Like the Lakers. And this is back in the couple of years before Nike took over and anyone could wear anything, anytime, any place, and it's just a free-for-all. But yeah, that was the plan originally. I didn't know that till I read that the other day. But
interesting.
But they can't wear it now anyway because got to have an ad for a bankrupt crypto company. It's kind of true.
All right, I'm ready to, before we get to the football talk, announce a winner here. I'm going to call it 89 wins.
Okay. I think that's a good choice.
Yeah. Good point here too by Mark too. The Tim Crumry injury too.
Yeah, like
not that he got hurt, but the story behind it.
But he was in the Super Bowl. Right. That was cool.
As much as I loved 07 music, I love 89 movies probably a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, the list is that if you could like weight the categories, that alone would push it over the top.
Yeah, 89 is gonna, if we did it like year by year for just movies, 89 would be one of the top ones there.
That would be a tough one. I know we got some other years to peruse, but that's
another year where the older one or the newer one, whatever, didn't win.
I know.
So
okay,
older years are advancing.
Finally.
Let me nope. Okay, I thought all the 80s have advanced, but because we did quite a few 80s already.
We did some 80s versus 80s. But
yeah. So the only one that didn't advance was 82 because they went up against 91. And 84 went up against 88. So 88 advanced.
Okay.
But,
some. Yeah.
All right. So I know we talked a little bit about it in the first hour here, but to kind of revisit in case you didn't hear, which I'm sure if you're a Packers fan, you probably heard and maybe rejoiced at this. Amari Rodgers released yesterday by the Packers. He wasn't the only Packer that was released, though. Third running back on the depth chart. Mr. Hill, Kylan Hill, also released, which kind of really like, ooh, that was a little surprising because he just got back from ACL a few weeks ago. Was kind of a kick return option, at least last year. So a little bit of a surprise here. When you read between the lines or listen to the comments, I should say, from Matt LaFleur yesterday, you kind of figure something happened. This is what he had to say about Hill being released. I would say this, being a member of the Green Bay Packers, it's a privilege, and there's standards and expectations that are placed on every member of this team that we expect guys to live up to. I appreciate what Kylan's been through and know it hasn't been easy coming back from that knee injury that he suffered a year ago. That was a pretty devastating hit. He's a guy that we had some high expectations for, and I realize he is in a loaded room. But regardless of your role, no matter how big or how small, we expect guys to come to work and just be supportive and own that role to the best of their ability. When you don't do that, this is what happens. So it almost sounds like he was not happy with his role and maybe displaying that frustration.
That is rare to hear someone essentially say, yeah, this guy was just being a jerk in the locker room. You almost never. It's always like, he contributed and we wish him well. Blah, 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 blah. Wow. Just as well that he's gone then, based on that description.
Yeah. Yeah. And
what was he doing then? Like, he was going around like ripping on people or something, saying like, I'm blah, blah, blah.
Part of me is like, okay, first of all, you do know who's above you in your room, right? It's Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon. You're not taking snaps away from those guys. The other part of me is wondering, was he upset that he wasn't maybe getting the opportunity to return punts and kicks since he was a kick returner last year?
Yeah.
And throwing a fit about it. I don't know, maybe. But
there's
that's
no
purely speculative from me at that point. With the Amari Rodgers, different tone from Matt LaFleur. That one hurts a lot. He did everything we asked him to do. He was a great teammate. He works his tail off. You could see him really growing in terms of overall knowledge. But we are in a production-based business.
Mm-hmm.
So he will get picked up. He will go on another team, whether it's practice squad or something like that. He will get another shot, and maybe that's best for him at this point.
Was it the yips? Is that effectively what he probably had going on?
4 fumbles on returns only this year, and that doesn't even count the bobbles. He had a bobble in the game on Sunday.
Yeah.
So it's to the fact where your one job is to catch it, right? Or catch it and not fumble.
And he did
on
that.
your return. And at the beginning of the year, he was getting harped on for doing fair catches too early and not returning it. And now when he is returning it, he's fumbling it, for crying out loud. So if you can't do that, like you said, it's a production-based business.
Mm-hmm.
It's unfortunate, but maybe he will. I mean, Ty Montgomery's still playing. He's with the Patriots right now, so he'll get picked up. Somebody will pick him up.
Yeah,
no doubt. But you look at some of the third-round picks. I was talking a little bit about it earlier. You have to go back to 2010, where the last time the Packers kind of hit on a third-round pick. That was Morgan Burnett. The second one on that list, probably Richard Rodgers, and that doesn't really say a whole lot. Not good.
No.
Not good. And that's where, I look at teams like Green Bay. If you are a team that's spent a lot of cash, or you got a lot of cash invested in your cap, and you've got players, these big name players, you've got to hit on your mid-round picks to fill in holes on a championship team. Because I look at that 95 draft, and I don't know how many people realize this, and I brought it up in the first hour, but that 95 draft, Ron Wolf, he drafted 5 starters on that 96 Super Bowl team from that 95 draft. 5. And 1 big-time special teams contributor, Travis Jervey. And 3 of those starters, Luke, 3rd round.
I mean, the best ones draft lower. That we see this all the time in the NFL.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're the 95 draft picks that Ron Wolf had. Number 1 was Craig Newsome, the 32nd overall pick in the draft in the 1st round. And then you go to the 3rd round. You had William Henderson, the fullback. You had Brian Williams, the linebacker, who had an interception in the Super Bowl. Antonio Freeman. Adam Timmerman was a 7th round pick, and then Jervey was a 5th round pick.
Jeez.
5 starters just a year later on that Super Bowl team. A team that already had Reggie White, Brett Favre, veterans, Keith Jackson coming in, Sean Jones, but they plugged them in with those mid-round picks that were big-time contributors. And I think that's something that has obviously been missing the last few years with Green. We focus on the first-round picks, right? Those are high boom, high potential players like the studs. But to fill in those holes on a championship team when you got money invested in all a bunch of different, you got to hit on those mid-round picks. That's why I love day 2, like second and third round, even like the fourth round and day 3. That's my favorite time because I think you can find really good players. But Green Bay, you can make the case, especially third round. They haven't been doing that lately.
So who's the best about, say, third-ish round pick they've had in the last 5 years?
5 years? Okay, so go back to 2017.
Mm-hmm.
Well, here's your third-round picks from – so 2017 was Ted Thompson's last draft, okay? That was a Kevin King draft. Montravius Adams was a third-round pick that year. He's not on the team anymore. Oren Burks was 18. He ain't on the team anymore. 2019, Jay Sternberger. He ain't on the team anymore. 2020, Josiah DeGuara. That might be your best one.
Ouch.
Because then it's Amari Rodgers, and then it's Sean Ryan, the offensive lineman, who has been active for 1 game this year. And it's not due to injury.
That's not good.
So Josiah DeGuara is, I think, by default, your best one.
Yeah. So that's Brian Gutekunst's track record.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's not good at all.
Well, now you start to maybe see an explanation for why the Packers are, stumbling a little bit. You don't have all the depth there. You lose someone like a Stokes, and suddenly, who's next? There's not as much.
You got Rasul Douglas and all that, but then it's a trickle down. But yeah, it's, I don't know, that third round in a round that you should be able to find guys that can still contribute, right? You're not getting that.
Okay, is Brian Gutekunst better at acquiring talent via free agency and or trade than he is at drafting?
Yeah, I think you can make a case.
Yeah, I mean, some of the guys he's picked up, Douglas, Campbell. I know Campbell's regressed some. Douglas has regressed some, but I'd still rather have him, I think, than not. Those are good ones. I mean, heck, even Rudy Ford. I know it's a 1-game thing, but those are 2 very critical interceptions that he made. That's a plus. He does seem to do a pretty decent job of that. So it is a bit of a collegiate blind spot.
That, but maybe though too, we got to remember too, he is the face of the whole front office, but he's got a scouting staff. And remember, when Ted was there, that was a pretty loaded scouting staff. Goody was on there, Elliott Wolf, John Schneider, guys that went on to be GM, John Dorsey, Reggie McKenzie. It's not just him that's doing all the scouting. He's relying on his staff, though, too.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the other part. I mean, you hear stories. I would love to be in a war room during a draft once just to hear the conversation. Gosh. But, we hear stories in that certain scouts are going to bang the table for their guy, right?
Right.
And it's up to the GM to make that final decision. So it's almost kind of like a political thing, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Where you're like, hey, vote for my guy, pick him. And then that's kind of down to that thing.
And maybe his guy is not the right guy. But again, it depends on how strong is the sentiment. There was the whole Jerry Jones, Paxton Lynch thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And sometimes you get talked out of it, and it turns out to be a good thing. Like in
you got
Jones's
Dak
case.
Prescott later on. So
right, yeah. So it worked out, but it doesn't always work out. And I don't know what that dynamic, like you said, what's the dynamic like there?
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's, at this point, we can start to make assessments. And I don't know that the assessment is that great.
Yeah. I mean, even I look at the 2010 draft that Ted had. Morgan Burnett was a third round, but remember, Morgan Burnett tore his ACL. He wasn't even in the Super Bowl. That was the Nick Collins and Charlie Pepra duo back there.
Yeah.
But Brian Bulaga was a first round pick, which ended up working fantastic because Tauscher tore his ACL. You had a running back of James Starks who went on a run in that postseason, right?
Mm-hmm.
CJ Wilson actually got some playing time. Andrew Corliss, that was when Jermichael Finley tore his ACL too. And then, he made some of the moves of Howard Green and that sort of thing too.
Yeah.
But a year prior, who did he draft? B.J. Raji, Clay Matthews, T.J. Lang was a backup offensive lineman. And then the year before was a guy named Jordy Nelson and Josh Sitton. Contributors. So, yeah.
Interesting.
I was looking at the list of third-round picks. I'm like, holy moly. Then, before Morgan Burnett, you can probably go Jermichael Finley was 08 as a third-rounder. James Jones, 07. Abdul Hodge and Jason Spitz in 06. A lot of these years, though, you look, Green Bay doesn't have a third-round pick because they traded him to either move up or move back.
Right. And if you get enough other personnel around that, well, that's totally fine.
And remember, too, they actually moved up in a draft to get Amari Rodgers. And somebody from Pro Football Focus made an interesting point yesterday on Twitter. I can't remember the name, but they said, because you know who was drafted after Amari Rodgers? Amon-Ra St. Brown. And somebody made the point where a lot of draft, quote, experts had St. Brown as the better slot prospect, but the fact that Equanimous St. Brown didn't do a whole lot for Green Bay, did that cloud their judgment?
Maybe. But that's a dangerous thing to do, because how many times do you see a sibling not perform at the same level as the other sibling? Happens all the time in sports in general.
I would hope that didn't, but we'll never find out.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody will ever admit that.
Man, I'd really hope it didn't.
I really hope it didn't either.
I mean,
and that's not to mean St. Brown would have been doing the same thing he's doing in Detroit if he was with Green Bay.
Right.
We don't know that, but
yeah,
it's the what if game.
Do you think Amari Rodgers will have more success with another team?
I think he will, but I don't think he'll be like a Pro Bowler or anything like that. I think, it's just I think it'll kind of be like a Ty Montgomery type of role. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He'll get hooked on a team. He'll play for a few more years. I don't see him being like 1,000-yard receiver or anything.
Okay.
But he'll be on a team and he'll be good.
This is not going to turn into Taysom Hill.
No.
Fans are going, why did you? Well, no.
Yep.
Okay.
So, all right.
He had to go, though. I agree.
Yeah.
It came to the point where you expect Amari Rodgers to screw something up. And then he did.
Do you know, by the way, you're going to be able to see Leroy's name enshrined tomorrow at the stadium?
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's getting his name on the facade.
Well, that's
not sure which location, but yeah, you'll see that.
I'll be looking for that.
So it'll be covered up by the time you.
The only downside is we're doing the suite. Got one of those ones, so hopefully it's not unlike the southeast corner. In which case, I'll have to watch the screens.
Yeah, you have to watch the scoreboard.
Watch everyone looking up at me like, "Hi guys!" Oh, it's not me. Oh, cool. Sorry.
All right, we got to take our final break, yeah. Then we'll get to some good vibes. Oh, we got to do stock reports. Really quick stock reports, okay? So we'll do that coming up. Yeah, coming up after this break. All right, your good vibes story of the day. I'm actually look. We're gonna pipe ourselves up here a little bit.
Okay.
For the good vibe in Wednesday, because it's our best holiday ever. What's going on right now? You can go to aroundthe715.com. That's the number 715. Don't spell it out. Around715.com, or you can head to sportstalk1051.com and click on the link over there. Contests, events, music, and more. We're giving you tons of ways to have the best holiday ever. Bunch of stuff going on up there. You can win some local gift cards, win a half hog and a chest freezer, tickets to Country Jam Rock Fest. Luke's girl Taylor Swift is up there. So I don't know if that is or not.
It's not really.
Okay.
No.
But big thanks to our sponsors, TF Exteriors, EC Moving and Storage, Shook Family Dental, Savita, and Hy-Vee. So again, around the 715.com, or you can go to sportstalk1051.com. Helping families have the best holiday ever. So there you go.
Nice.
Really quick. Stock risers. Who do you got?
Christian Watson.
Oh, that's an easy one.
It is, but it's true. Like
I think people are going to put him on a pedestal, and he's not going to do a whole lot on Thursday. I'm just saying that right now.
Yeah, like another 3-touchdown game, but I think he's making the turn in a general sense. Like this, we really needed to see a confident game. And granted, I think the scheming helped a lot. This is talked about a lot in the wake of the game. There's a good breakdown at Football Outsiders about the Cowboys and Packers game, and about all of that, bringing in the Cowboy defense, bring them into the box, force man, and that really opened up the back for someone like Watson to speed by some of the Cowboys. Well, he had to make the plays too. He had to catch the ball, and he did. So I think he's making the turn not to being your WR1 in your fantasy league. No. But I think he is making the turn in a general sense to be like a decent receiver this season, and we'll see going down the road.
I'll go stock riser Rudy Ford. So
yeah.
Rudy Ford. I think he should. Well, they should continue putting him more into that safety spot instead of Darnell Savage.
Mm-hmm.
So stock fallers.
Karl Anthony Towns.
Okay.
Zach Lowe did his 10 things I like, or whatever exactly the name of it is. It's at ESPN Plus. You got to have the subscription, but dude's out of place all the time. And the whole Rudy Gobert thing is that was supposed to sync up with Towns, give him opportunities to maybe get a little more outside shoot. And what's going on? He's not meshing. And of course there was, a while back, there was the criticism about Anthony Edwards, about eating too much. And what? I would not be completely shocked if Towns were traded, maybe even this season.
Right.
He seems right now, if I had to rank who's most important on this team, and look, it's still relatively early. They can still figure this out. We saw that in the NBA last year. A bunch of teams went back and forth well after mid-November. But I would put Edwards 1, Gobert 2, and Towns is 3. D'Angelo Russell's 24th. Gosh, good. And Russell and Towns are buds. I wouldn't be surprised if both of them are gone, because they seem to be the weights on this team right now.
Ooh, okay.
They do. They're very talented. They don't need to be the weights, but right now they are.
Okay. My stock down. I was actually kind of disappointed in the Mike McCarthy video tribute.
How did it go?
Not a lot of crowd reaction. I didn't hear any boos, but there really wasn't a whole lot of reaction. A few claps. All it was a picture of Mike McCarthy, a list of all the Cowboys assistant coaches that were also returning with Mike McCarthy that were Packers, and a quick shot. They made Mike stand at the 50-yard line in a quick video shot, and he tipped the cap, and that was it. No highlights, no nothing, and it was during warm-ups.
How long before the game?
Everybody, so it was about 40 minutes before the game, 45.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a little disappointing.
I was because I saw they had tweeted that it was going to be during warm-ups. Well, okay.
Honestly,
but I get it too, in a sense. It's a game they have to win and all that, and I understand that part. But I'm a little underwhelmed.
The amount, I will say, I didn't think there would be that much more compared to what actually happened, but that far in advance of the game seems underwhelming.
Yeah, a little underwhelmed. So, and maybe that was a Mike thing too, where he didn't want to make a big spiel.
But then,
so.
I was watching this on TV. I can't tell you how many times Fox showed the footage of him walking into Lambeau Field in the morning wearing the overcoat.
Oh, the Lombardi overcoat.
Oh my gosh, I saw that so much.
I want to know, did he meet Aaron before that, or was that like because
they met
secret
pregame.
meeting, so.
You saw that, and they're all smiles, and then after the game.
Well, Aaron said that they met hours before anybody else got to the stadium. They met at the stadium. So
yeah, I'm sure somewhere with an overcoat.
Yeah. All right. Have a good Wednesday, everybody. We'll be back tomorrow just past 6.